It's like the state law moved it to like.
Our equipment is here from Germany.
Really?
It now.
Out there.
It's a nice.
Low on vitamin D.
Oh, wonderful.
Nobody's brought it back. I was like, I wonder why.
Yeah, right.
Probably because I'm inside a concrete building every day. Well, maybe. They said that tire tracks because the guy literally going.
At least you know now. I didn't know until I was probably 50, 55.
Really?
Before I started going to regular checkups.
I'm good. How are you doing? See ya.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Take them on a call.
Yeah. I love it. I'm good. That's your job. You're good at it.
I did the firefighter training in college.
Good to go.
I went into
You decided to go make money
the
instead.
burn program or whatever up in Ellsworth. And
No kidding.
yeah, and they took my blood pressure and because I guess they do it before everyone goes in. And the medic wanted to see me every 15 minutes because they said my blood pressure was so high. They were afraid I was
Yes.
I was pretty nervous about going in there because at the time I was like 280 pounds and I had an active weight up. I was like, there's no way I'm going in. I can't.
They're
I had to take the pack off and slide my
over.
It was quite an experience. Bobby.
Yeah. So they never came. The crane didn't work out. So I'm gonna take the
No,
next.
it was
quote.
so it was one of the guys who was named after Bobby.
They did give us a very
I
good
don't remember his
quote.
name.
They just
Black hair and he had kind of a funny voice. It might have been Bobby. Really?
they gave us a good quote, but they haven't been able to bring the crane. So
It was quite a class. Yeah.
Tell him.
Pretty much.
said, there was a bunch, you wouldn't know until you did it right.
The board cleaner up on the bus trail because it was flat.
You're telling me.
Good evening, everyone. I hereby call this Select Board meeting to order. It's 5:30 p.m. Tuesday, May 26, 2026. Please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I hope we're all doing well today. It's a beautiful day, and we're going to start off with the town manager's report.
We have gone to the printers, Sabromar. We have an annual report and a budget. It's been a lot of hard work.
Donnie,
It's been a lot of hard work. I'd like to thank Kara Mason. She went outside of her job duties and put the entire annual report together in like 2 weeks. It's been incredible what everybody has sacrificed to get us moving forward, and I'm very proud of our budget, and I think the town will be very happy with our budget when they see it soon. We did get a certified ratio declaration approval at 100%. I'm not too sure about all the request to certify was approved at 100% for our tax certification, so that's a good thing. Applications are coming in for executive secretary and finance assistant. We'll be looking to fill those positions as soon as we get a good candidate. I attended the rec committee meeting. It went really well. And I look forward to continuing to build a relationship with MSAD 54 with everything with the field and everything that's going on. And I think everyone's hard work is starting to pay off. And I think it's hopeful for us. And that's all.
Thank you, Donnie. We're going to move on to department and committee reports. And I don't see Chief Bucknam, so we'll go to Chief Ryan.
How's everybody doing tonight? A couple quick things. Just I attended the SCTC's cord and pinning, I think is what they called it, last week. I'm very involved with the fire and EMS program through the school. So Captain Caldwell and I attended that the other night. Pretty awesome. I'd never gone to it before, so that was really kind of neat. We have 2 openings in the fire department. We did a hiring process a month or 2 ago. We have made offers to 2 people. They've both accepted. They'll be starting on June 9th, I believe, is their training. They'll train for a couple of weeks of days, and then they'll go on to shift. So pretty excited about that. We got really good candidates. In the past few years, we've had openings, and we've had 6 to 9 applicants. This time we had 26. So I was extremely happy about that. I think having Anthony Barton, our deputy, along board with that, he's very fancy with the interwebs, the Facebooks and all those things. And I think that probably helped a little bit. But yeah, either way, it was great to see that many people come out for it. So other than that, that's all I have right now. Thanks.
Thank you, Chief Johnston. Gail.
Good evening. Something that was supposed to go on the agenda but didn't make it, but I would really like to have you approve tonight, was an application for pool table for Fraternal Order of Eagles, 1457. I need the Chief of Police's signature before I'll be able to issue it, but I have put a copy in front of each one of you. So I don't know if you want to rule on it now or if you want to vote on it under other business. It's totally up to whatever you want to do. Just to let you know, we're still doing absentee ballots. You can vote in the office until 4:30 on June 4th. That's the Thursday before the election. I've put in to process absentee ballots early. Probably will be doing that, and probably will be doing it probably the day of town meeting, just because we don't have a lot, but I don't want to leave it till election day because it can all just go haywire. So it's best to get them over and done with and have them in their own little machine. And I think that's it. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Gail.
Whitney, would you entertain a motion to approve the pool table?
I would. I was thinking we could hold it off till other business.
Okay.
Denise LeBlanc.
All set, thank you.
Okay. Cynthia?
So we've been very, very busy, especially with lawn sale season at the transfer station. Just a quick reminder for any clothes that you might not sell on your lawn sale, please check with churches that take donations, and if they're all set, just a reminder, we have the apparel impact bin at the transfer station as well as one right out here in the parking lot. Please utilize them. Takes clothing, textiles, shoes, purses, accessories, all of that. Better than throwing them away, it will get recycled. Also had quite a few inquiries about the recycling trailer down behind the bankery lately. A lot of people have been seeing it, saying, what's it for? It's for anybody to use. It's not just for the businesses. If you're not able to get to the transfer station to drop off cardboard and mixed paper, feel free to use that trailer there. And again, I'm still looking for a good spot for our other trailer that we have. So if, oh, you have an idea? Okay. The other thing I just want to throw out there is we do pickups with some of the small businesses here in town of their recyclables. These businesses are very, very happy with doing this. Some have been able to downsize their dumpsters and stuff like that. So if any businesses are interested, please feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to meet with you, see if it's something that we can help you out with. So thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy. Brian?
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other department heads here who would like to speak? Seeing none, we're going to move on to conflict of interest disclosure. We'll start off with Amber.
I have none, thank you.
Ethan?
I have none.
I have none.
And I have none either.
I also have none. We'll move on to select board items, and we'll start off with Amber.
Great. I just wanted to remind everyone that next week is a very busy week in town with Build Maine coming on Tuesday and Wednesday. Workshops will be scattered about town, and this is developers, architects, town managers, municipalities coming to a conference to learn about best practice in development and small rural communities. So it'll be interesting and fun, and lots of people descending on Skowhegan. We also have the Board of Directors of Coastal Enterprises coming to Skowhegan for their, one of their quarterly annual board meetings. It's a privilege to be able to show off our town to people like this who travel around to see where some of their work has had impact. So Coastal Enterprises is a CDFI that takes bigger risks than banks at making financing available to entrepreneurs and businesses trying to grow, among many other programs that they administer. So they will all be in town if you see unfamiliar faces. It's No Mow May. I don't know if anyone else doesn't mow their lawn in the month of May, but it helps the birds and butterflies and bees. And so we all look forward to June when we can mow our grass. So if you see an unkempt lawn at my house, that's what that's about. We're supporting the bees. Thank you.
Yes, Ethan.
I'm all set, thank you.
Kevin?
Yeah, we had a great cleanup day at Coburn Park. It was a wet one. It was the 15th, and it, as you remember, it poured that morning. This was a couple of weeks ago. Sam Height had organized the project, and he sponsored it. He also brought over a bunch of equipment for his folks to use, and he shut down his shop for the day and moved his whole team down there to Coburn Park to help get it cleaned up on that Friday. Let's see, Skowhegan Savings Bank also provided some team members to help remove the mess left behind from the fall and the winter seasons. I also want to thank the Skowhegan Highway Department for providing some heavy equipment that was needed to be able to accomplish the project in a single day. I remember last year, my wife came home and told me they weren't able to get all the piles picked up and stuff, and we got in contact with Jason, and he was able to help us out with some equipment, and we were able to clean the place right up. Whatever was raked up or cut up was picked up. And with that, a special thank you goes out to Jason Finley, Corey Johnson, and Matt Stewart for coming in on their day off and helping out, providing labor and equipment support. Some additional sponsors that helped that day that kept the crew nourished and happy was the Bankery and Joe's Flatiron Cafe. They provided a wide variety of delicious breakfast sandwiches and baked goods. And I want to thank Sam again and all that participated to get the park ready for Memorial Day. They did a wonderful job.
Thank you, Kevin. They've been doing this for several years now. Sam Height Ford, and a lot of volunteers. They do a great job. They pick everything up, and the town should be really happy at what they give back. It's really nice down there. Thank you.
I'm all set.
Elijah?
Yep, thanks.
Okay. I'm all set, too. We're going to move on to items by the public. Please step up to the mic to speak.
Just a quick reminder that on June 9th is voting day for the school board budget. And also this year, the school board they'll have a second warrant on fund sharing or cost sharing, where we will take, right now our taxes are based on 100% of property valuation, and we want to move it to this year 90% property valuation and 10% on the number of students per town that we send to our schools. It is to Skowhegan's advantage to pass that, because we pay for way more students than we send. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Chris, you can come back up.
Go ahead.
I forgot, June 3rd, we are having a public meeting at the gymnasium at 6 o'clock at the high school, because the state legislature just passed a rule that from bell to bell, there will be no cell phones and no smartwatches. And so we are doing a public forum to hear what parents have to say, students have to say, teachers, anyone involved with a kid or an adult with a smartwatch or a phone. 6 p.m.
Thank you. Chris?
I just want to give a quick update on ATV stuff. Season officially kicked off this last week for most of the area. I did not open our trails. There's still 2 feet of water on one of our main trails, and until that's dried up and drained properly, we're not going to piss that landowner off. So, not happening. I do have CMP approval to go all the way up into Cornville. That trail will probably take another year to do. Talked with the state today. It looks like we're going to get all the funding for it, but then it's just going to be the DEP permits and everything. They're working on all of that. So it's slowly getting there, but it's going to be a little bit to make that happen. I called the state DOT today for an update on access roads, and they're not sure where our application is after they called me and told me that they were doing the traffic surveys and stuff that needed to be done. So he said he will have an answer for me by Friday at the absolute latest. So we're hoping that will come back and be good news, and we can get people riding on that. Norwalk is working on their end of the trail. We were out there Monday with them walking, or sorry, I was out there Tuesday with them walking and everything. Monday night, me and another gentleman of the club went out, and we were dealing with the landowner and just mapping out where that trail should go and stuff. That's when we found some stolen merchandise. Corey got called out and later found his boat and stuff. That landowner that stuff was found on was very hesitant to let us on her property a year ago. She called me later that night and really thanked me for doing a diligent job of making the trail safe, making it good, and really being good stewards of the community. And then when we found stolen stuff, handling it appropriate to get it back to the right people. And that's a huge shout out to anybody who's, thinking that they might want trails on their property or whatever. The ATV club is doing it the right way. We're not in a rush. We're not trying to get a bunch of stuff going. We're just trying to do it and do it right. So, that's a big thing. Skowhegan is on the new state of Maine ATV map. So everybody that picks up maps and stuff around the state, Skowhegan's trails are on there. Tentatively, the two openings to get us into town are on there with dotted lines so that they'll be opening later this summer. And she will do an updated map online when those are open. So, and last but not least, our passport is printed. We're picking it up tomorrow morning, and we will be getting that out and about to all the businesses that participated and everything. So, people can stay tuned for that. And Joanna's got some stuff.
So I'm Joanna, I'm the president, and I wanted to first thank Poland Springs and Kingfield. They donated 15 cases of water to our club that we'll use for trail maintenance and other events, which we did start using. We were at the Mental Health Awareness Days at Colburn Park this past Saturday. We gave out some water that was donated to us, and we want to also thank everybody that did work at the park for cleanup day. It looked amazing.
Saw the new bike too with the police department. That was nice to see him out patrolling.
Yes, yes. And one last thing is we will be doing a booth at the fair this year, at the Skowhegan Fair. So we'll be around visiting businesses and looking for donations. And those donations also go towards our raffle at the end of the year for our passport. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Perfect.
Anybody else? All right, well, we're going to move on to the public hearing. So at this time, I will open the public hearing on each item listed on the agenda. The public hearing is for public comment on this specific proposed ordinance or plan. These items are separate, and each will be handled separately. The final vote on each item will take place separately at the town meeting. So with no further ado, we will start off with the amended Solid Waste Ordinance. And I would ask Cindy to come up, please.
The ordinances are all available here at the table for anyone to review. There was some formatting issues with the one posted online. After reviewing it with Brian, we believe everything to be satisfactory.
Thank you, Donnie. Cindy, you got the floor.
So just so everybody knows why this one was brought forward for updating is because the last time it was updated was 2002. a lot of stuff's been changed, and the town has slowly been going through and reformatting, so all the ordinances are in the same format, so they all look similar, and makes it easier for the public to find the information. So one of the things that was added is a definition for average food waste. In the definition section, it just means household food waste consisting of organic material generated through ordinary residential cooking and eating activities. So that was just a definition that was added. Just so I can keep track, sorry. All right. Under section 9, under permitting, the first sentence was removed. The collection and transportation of waste generated in the town of Skowhegan prohibited unless authorized by the Board of Select Persons. For many years, it's not the select persons, this was before I even took over, that signed the commercial hauler's license every year. It was actually the town manager. So that was an update on that. Unless you guys would like to do that every year, that's up to you. But it's just a matter of once they submit all their required documents and the fee, we print off an updated license and the town manager signs it, as well as the owner of the business as well. So that first section was removed. The other section that was updated was, in the old ordinance, it was in 9.1. Of course, you can see the formatting is changed in the proposed update. Previously, it said any person who seeks to serve the town as a commercial hauler to collect and deliver waste to any disposal facility or transport recyclable materials to the solid waste management facility must have a valid commercial hauler's license issued by the town. The new section says all commercial haulers must have a valid commercial hauler's license issued by the town to collect and deliver waste to any disposal facility or to transport recyclable material to the solid waste facility. The commercial collection, transportation of waste and recyclable material generated in the town of Skowhegan is prohibited unless authorized by the town manager or as designated by the town manager. So that was just updated to remove the Board of Select Persons again. So they kind of combined those two sections in the old ordinance into one new section. And please speak up if you have any questions. So.
Is there already a licensing process, Cindy?
There is. We send out a renewal letter to all the commercial haulers. All commercial hauler licenses expire on March 31st of every year. So we send out the renewal letter, reminding them the documentation that they need to submit and the fee as well. And then once everything has been received and reviewed, then the new license would be issued out to them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next update was in section 10 of the old ordinance and in the new ordinance. The section that was updated, it previously said the facility is closed on all declared legal holidays as designated under the Town of Skowhegan personnel policy. This was just updated to say the facility shall be closed on all legal holidays officially recognized under the Town of Skowhegan personnel policy. In addition, the solid waste supervisor may close the facility for specific reasons, including but not limited to adverse weather conditions or other emergencies as deemed necessary. That was added into that section. And of course, the facility would only close with direction from the town manager, which they get from the Board of Select, the Select Board. So Any questions on that one? Okay. And the next part where it says the uses of the facility by any person shall be at the strict direction of the staff, that's the old ordinance. It was updated to say the use of the facility by any person, business, or organization. The other part that was taken out in that section, where it says the Board of Select Persons and the rules and regulations, hereunder that person will immediately be refused access to the facility. That portion was taken out. The new section says that person may be subject to prosecution, a fine, or loss of access to the facility. So that's what was updated. Next part in that same section 10, that was added under hazardous waste, the list of the items that's prohibited from the facility. Previously, it just read hazardous waste, closed containers, dead animals, and animal parts. That was, the dead animal section was just revised to say dead animals or animal parts outside of average food waste. And that's why we also added the average food waste section as well, just to clarify that. Next section that was updated, where it said all of the following components of the municipal solid waste stream will be source separated for recycling purposes for the purpose of current method of disposal of that item. There was a list in the old ordinance, but that list was removed because recycling changes all the time. So instead of having to come back and change the list of items we take for recyclables, it was updated to say all components of the municipal solid waste stream designated by the town as recyclable shall be source separated for recycling or for the current approval method of disposal in accordance with Maine DEP regulations and market availability. The specific materials designated for recycling shall not be enumerated within the ordinance. Instead, the town shall maintain and periodically update an official list of recyclable materials based on prevailing recycling markets, processing capabilities, and applicable state requirements. And it was put in there, the current list of recyclable materials shall be posted and made available to the public on the town's website, at the town office during regular business hours, as well as on-site at the municipal transfer station. It says the town may revise the list of recyclable materials from time to time without amendment to this ordinance, provided such revisions are publicly posted as described above. So instead of having the actual specific list, just that it would be updated and posted everywhere for people. Okay. Okay, I got an extra one here. The only thing I did notice in section 11, there is actually a typo. I just realized it going through it.
Loose?
Huh?
The word loose?
No, under section 11, permit denial suspension. It says issuance of a permit may be denied. Any permit or license issued may be suspended or revoked by the solid waste management. It says FA6 under facility instead of FAC.
Okay.
Yep. There was a little typo there, I just realized, so. To find this section. There was another section before that, I apologize. In section 10, our current ordinance says no salvaging is permitted except as provided for in the solid waste management facility rules and regulations. This was updated and changed a little bit, so it says now reuse of materials may be permitted only under specific guidelines established by the town and administered by the solid waste supervisor. Reuse activities shall occur solely in designated areas, meaning our free section, for approved materials in accordance with all posted rules, safety requirements, and operational procedures. So down at the wood pile, there is a new sign up there that states you are allowed to take wood, but there are certain rules, no power tools, no climbing the pile. No person shall remove any object or material from the facility without the express permission of the town or the solid waste supervisor, and in full compliance with the solid waste rules and regulations. All reuse activities are undertaken at the sole risk of the individual engaging in such activity. The town assumes no responsibility or liability for injury, damage, or loss resulting from the reuse of materials obtained from the facility. That was something that was recommended, so if somebody takes an item home, gets hurt using it, or something like that, this would just protect the town. And the town reserves the right to modify, suspend, or prohibit reuse activities at any time as necessary to ensure public safety, regulatory compliance, and orderly facility operations. So, reuse is a good thing. So, and that free section is definitely busy. The next section that was updated is section 13 under enforcement. It previously said enforcement of this ordinance shall be responsibility of the code enforcement officer or the chief of police. It was updated shall be to say shall be the responsibility of the code enforcement officer, the solid waste supervisor, or the town of Skowhegan police. So not necessarily just the chief. Okay, if we have an issue, we want to be able to include any officer that might be able to need to come up. So. There was another section right before that said the minimum fine for violating the ordinance will be, it used to say $100 per offense. One of the things that the town has been working on is taking out any dollar amounts from ordinances and referring to our fee schedule. So it now says minimum fine for violating the ordinance will be determined by the rules and regulations, which is something that the the select board can update at any time. That is separate from the ordinance. So. So then going on to the solid waste rules and regulations. Again, this hasn't been updated since 2002, so a lot of outdated stuff. The old rules and regulations actually used to post the hours of operation. Of course, those have since changed. So it was removed, the summer, winter hours, all of that. And now the updated ordinance says the solid waste management facility shall operate on days and during hours as established by the select board and as posted. Current hours of operation shall be made available to the public by posting it on the website, and it is at the facility on the big sign as you first drive in now. It does, the update says it shall generate, the facility shall generally be open Tuesday through Saturday, 7 to 3:45 p.m. year-round, unless otherwise posted. The town reserves the right to modify hours of operation as necessary. Now, in the rules and regulations, it also used to list all of the fees for all of the items, and those have since changed several times over the years. Sometimes we've stopped charging fees, they have either increased or changed. So instead of having all of that listed in there, that has been taken out. Says the Board of Selectmen may from time to time or after consultation with the planning board establish the appropriate fees following posting of the proposed schedule of fees in public hearing. So that's what you guys do when you update any schedule, the town's schedule of fees. Next part, that was updated. It just says preparation of recyclables.
Preparation under C.
I think that was mixed in with the list of everything that was specifically spelled out in the rules and regulations.
Okay, and I'm just realizing, in our packets, we have the original version, it looks like. Doesn't have the edits, okay. If the cardboard, corrugated cardboard section is still in there? Or is that all taken out?
That is all taken out. And it was just changed under preparation of recyclables, changed to say preparation of recyclable materials is required and shall be completed in accordance with the solid waste management facility rules and regulations and the transfer station guidelines posted on site. So this is the updated version. So basically that big long list that told you, you know, cardboard had to be a certain dimension and newspapers had to be dry, bundled with twine and all of that, that has been removed. Materials not prepared as required may be rejected or directed to alternative disposal is what the new section says by removing that whole list of individual items. And it does also say a list of required preparations of recyclables shall be maintained, updated, and made available to the public by posting on the website and at the facility.
Can I go back to preparation of materials for a second?
Yes.
I was interested to see that in the ordinance, it says that trash bags coming up to the transfer station must be transparent. I
Yeah.
did not know that. So black trash bags are not allowed, or,
Based on our current ordinance, no. That's. Exactly. And that's why I think that's why it's never been enforced. This, as long as I've worked for the town, that's never been enforced.
so that is, so we have an unedited version in our packet. I think Tanya sent the edited version today. Are you saying that word has been taken out?
Under, and this is for the, under the preparation of material for disposal.
Right.
Okay. What it,
D1.
yep, what it, yeah. What is it, D1? Yep. It has been updated to say all municipal household waste to be disposed of at the waste transfer station will to be deposited at the facility in trash bags that are transparent enough to allow for visual inspections of the contents. That's what it was updated. That's what they left in there.
That means no black bags.
Yeah. Yeah, the white ones.
I
Yeah,
was just interested to read that. I've never heard anything about
yeah,
it.
and,
We, in our business, we have reasons to want to keep them clear too, because you can accidentally throw out the bag of dirty rags
yeah.
in the trash instead of taking them to the laundry. But anyway,
Let's see. So this was something that went through the planning board and, I mean, we get black trash bags every day. You can usually tell vaguely what's in it. I mean, mainly what we're looking for is making sure that people aren't throwing away hazardous material. But the ordinance does allow that if we do suspect anything, we are able to pull bags and open them up and look at them as well.
okay,
So, yep.
thank you.
Hopefully not. And no deer parts, please. It does, under the preparation of materials, on number 3, used to say for demolition debris that prior approval will be required to get rid of demolition debris from the waste management supervisor. So that has been updated to say demolition debris will be accepted at the transfer station. Took away the prior approval requirement, and it just states materials shall be separated by posted facility requirements. And that's all that it says. So you don't need to get prior approval to get rid of demolition debris. The other thing that was removed was, under that, number 3 was the materials separated into 3 basic elements. We took that out. Just that materials should be separated per our facility requirements. We also removed the no load greater than 2 cubic yards will be accepted, and this is under demolition debris again. It used to say during a 48-hour period. That whole section C has been removed. And there is a last section that has been added, which would be F. I don't know if you guys have that in yours at all, in the updated version.
Severability.
Yes.
That word just needs an E instead of an A, SEVE.
Yeah, I had that highlighted as
Yeah,
well.
okay.
So,
And can we just go back to the fee for a second? E, fees. Violations will be subject to a fee set forth by the select board. I'm just curious whether, do you intend to point back to a fee, a violation fee schedule that might change from time to time, that the select board oversee? You don't mean that there's violations you're going to bring to the select board and we're going to make a decision on a case-by-case basis with?
no, that is referring back to fee schedules.
Okay.
Yep.
Should we say fee schedule set forth, so that it doesn't seem like we're moving the goalpost on a violation to violation?
Yeah, because that wasn't in there either in the previous ordinance as well. That's something that got added. I don't know if there are any violation fees in the fee schedule. Do you know, Brian?
There's only suspension and license, correct?
Right, right. So there really is no,
So the only repercussions are either suspending or removing the license from the
How often do we activate disciplinary action for violation of anything that has been in this ordinance?
I know in the previous supervisors, there were some violations. We have, most of them have been resolved over the years with just speaking with the individual. We did have an issue with somebody who flat out refused to purchase a sticker based on their beliefs, and they were contacted by the police department, mailed the ordinance showing, and he did eventually purchase a sticker.
Okay.
So most of them are resolved fairly quickly, and usually it's just a matter of talking to the individual or sending them a letter.
Okay.
Yep.
I was also curious, in reading this, I was looking for, where is it explicit that if we are using commercial haulers, that the user of a commercial hauler must also abide by separation and recycling?
It doesn't say that in there.
Doesn't.
Nope.
So it struck me that it could be construed that this ordinance is only for the 25% of the budget that is household waste.
Right.
Is that right?
I'm looking right now. I know there was a section in here. Under general provisions, and I don't know if this would cover what you're looking for. Under the new section, it does say all components of the municipal solid waste stream designated by the town as recyclable shall be source separated for recycling or for the current approved method of disposal for that material in accordance with Maine Department of Environmental Protection regulations and market availability. The specific materials designated for recycling shall not be enumerated within the ordinance. Instead, the town shall maintain and periodically update the official list of recyclables.
So when I read that, it sounds like it's the municipal solid waste stream that comes to the transfer station.
It doesn't specifically say either way.
So can this be construed to regulate the municipal waste stream generated in Skowhegan that goes into a commercial hauler's dumpster that is removed from Skowhegan, dumped in Norwich Walk, and charged back to Skowhegan?
However, if you look at the first page under purpose and authority and applicability, the purpose and authority in the ordinance is to ensure that wastes are properly separated to minimize the volume of waste placed at the solid waste management facility, to encourage recycling, and to enable effective management of waste.
So it does not address
No.
commercial haulers.
The applicability just says this ordinance shall apply to all domestic, commercial, and industrial producers of solid waste in the town of Skowhegan.
So what does it mean to you?
Just that the ordinance applies to everybody in Skowhegan. When I read the applicability, who this ordinance applies to. Any domestic, commercial, or industrial producers of solid waste in the town of Skowhegan. It doesn't say that's brought to the facility. So it can, I understand your confusion too,
understand.
Amber.
So
No, absolutely.
I am looking for
Yeah.
compliance among commercial haulers to our separation ordinance here. But I think there's lots of room for gray where it does sound like this only applies to the waste placed at the solid waste management facility, which is how this ordinance opens.
In other sections of the ordinance, yes, a lot of it does pertain to just the facility, yeah.
So is there any way to embed some language in here that suggests that it is any waste that
Is-
comes to the transfer station or that taxpayers are paying for?
I don't know how I would need to check with the town planner on that to see how we could do that, so.
We are, in a way, making the commercial haulers pay for the tipping fee now, which is gonna be put back on the people with the dumpsters. So,
Well,
who are
from
we
my-
to say that we have to force them to separate their trash and recycle their trash? If they wanna pay to get rid of their trash and they wanna put cardboard in there, you
Right,
can't tell them they can't.
but from my understanding from the last meeting, we're not going that route now.
Right, but, I mean, if they don't want to separate and they're
No.
paying the people, then how are we gonna force them to?
If they're paying their tipping fees, which I think was kind of gone by the wayside at the last meeting.
Okay, so we don't do that anymore.
We,
Say we
Right.
don't do that. If they put cardboard in their dumpster, or is the driver of the the trash truck gonna get out and separate all that trash?
No,
No,
no.
How are you gonna enforce that? You can't.
right, right. It's a matter, Ethan, of hoping people do the right thing. The more recyclables, yes, it costs money as far as employees, equipment and whatnot to recycle. Part of it's to do the right thing. Part of it is we do get revenues from the sale of recyclable material. Anything recyclable does help save on disposal costs in the end, so.
This is why I come back to clarity in the language around who does this apply to. And the fact that you're saying we almost never discipline this ordinance. So if we go up to an Orange Walk and there's dumpster after dumpster going into the landfill that we're paying for as taxpayers that is not sorted, we are not consequenting that. We have a system that is full of
Yeah,
natural consequences of no consequence.
yeah.
Amber,
No.
you are right. There are protections now to hold people accountable, and part of that is suspending or revoking licenses of people that are bad actors. And so just the fact that we haven't done it doesn't mean that we can't.
So is the commercial hauler going to pay the price for picking up trash that is not sorted?
Well, more I'm talking about commingling is what I think of when I think of bad actors. The way that I read the ordinance is if it's separated before the hauler gets it, they need to keep it separated, but they don't have an obligation to separate. So from the way that I read the ordinance is if the business owner provides it separated, the hauler must keep
yeah.
it separated.
Right, like businesses that have one trash dumpster and one cardboard dumpster.
So if a
They can't
hauler-
dump them both in the same truck.
If a hauler is combining those,
Yep,
we can hold them responsible
yep.
for that mixing.
Brian?
So, you gotta look at this, you gotta read the applicability statement.
That's
the
what I'm
gatekeeper.
going on, yeah.
That's the gatekeeper for any ordinance. If it says it applies to the entire town, it applies to the entire town. I think the body of the ordinance, it seems more geared towards the facility. I'm not sure, I think it needs to be cleaned up. Obviously, we can't do that now, but that one statement takes care of it.
It-
Whether it's separated before or after, if they're not separating, they're held responsible. The issue is gonna be, just like the prior ordinances, who's driving around town all day, every day to check
Exactly,
dumpsters?
yeah.
So it's gonna be, the phone calls will come in and we'll take care of them one at a time type of thing.
Kind of like code enforcement does with violations or complaints.
What you're saying, Brian, is that, so section 2, even though it explicitly talks about the waste management facility, section 3 says applicability is to commercial and industrial. So any business that is using a dumpster can be held accountable for the sorting.
100%.
Any producers of solid waste in the town of Skowhegan, which everybody produces solid waste in the town.
Okay?
So I agree with Brian. You kind of have to look at that applicability because I know that's in all the ordinances on how it applies to the town.
That's the first thing Ken Lexi is gonna look at when we
Yep.
bring a case to him is, well, applicability statement says this, we
Yep.
have a leg to stand on.
Yep.
Thank you, Brian. John?
Yes, I always argue about who's hauling over the dump and everything. Why doesn't the town go to the private haulers, and there's other people who put trash out to the curbside dumpsters? Charge them the national average of what recycling is all about over there. If it's 100% that we're paying for, and there's 20%, that's the national average of recyclable, and they should be paying for that percentage of the trip because they're not recycling. It would force them to recycle, the people that pick up, because if they tell the customer, you've got to recycle, they're going to take it less over there to the dump, they're going to be paying less. We shouldn't be picking up the tab here.
Yep. And John, I definitely hear what you're saying, and I think that is definitely going to be future discussions with the select board, community members, businesses, all of that. Right now, tonight, though, it's just about getting the ordinance up to date, because right now it is far from being up to date. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that is something that could also down the road be added into the rules and regulations as well by the select board.
I see this as a step-by-step process. We realized originally at the budget meeting that this was too much of a surprise to many, and that we're backing off to give everybody time to figure out what the right way to go is.
Yep.
But the first step is to update the ordinance, and the second step that I would foresee is that a committee is created, and you get the stakeholders in here and try to figure out a way forward that everybody can deal with. It's not something that's going to
Yeah.
happen in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
But over the next year, it is a discussion that needs to happen.
Right. And I mean, a lot of the stuff that has been updated in this ordinance with this update is, I mean, a list of fees that has been changed numerous times over the years, but never in the ordinance. So it's been updated on the fee schedule, but never in the actual ordinance. The hours of operation, those were some of the main things that really needed to be updated that haven't been done for 24 years. So that's kind of the main points on the update on this one. Not necessarily as far as figuring out between the commercial haulers and stuff like that, just getting the language and the format and stuff like that updated. So with everything that I went through, did you guys see any issues as far as the wording or anything like that? Or was it pretty straightforward, just updating?
The only thing that concerns me is the transparent trash bag. I don't know that that should be in there at this point. Because it's,
Been in there for 24 years,
maybe that could be adjusted.
if not longer. And I mean, we do have, it does say in there, Whitney, and I'm not looking to turn around people that have black trash bags. I mean, you know, I know it says it in the ordinance. Previous supervisors have never enforced that. But it does give us a right to search the bags if somebody comes in with a big 50-gallon bag and I can see in there that it's just all cardboard boxes, yes, I can go over and say, hey, stuff like that. But I don't know if you want to make that update or not. It's up to you guys.
Where in the language does it give you the right to search the bag? If that's in there, then I agree with Whitney that I don't feel like we need something in there that we don't intend to enforce or have no way of enforcing. So if you have the right to search bags with concern, then
They have a warrant?
can we take the transparent language out?
I just want to make sure that we're not making substantive changes, because if that's the case, this is not going to town meeting. It's already on the warrant, so.
Right.
We gotta be careful with what we do here tonight, so.
I will tell you, as a Turner resident, we are required to have clear bags. It is heavily enforced, and I think it's a very good thing, especially with the toxic people trying to put like oil paint cans in the bag and chuck them in there. But I think it's something we should definitely pursue in keeping. I think it's a good leverage for the town to protect what's coming in. So whether it's enforced daily is the discretion of the supervisor, but I think we need to reserve the right to require clear bags and/or have them.
Respect.
So just point of order, this is a public hearing. This is for the sake of educating the public and us. I understand that the draft is already in the warrant for the town meeting. We are raising questions that might be raised again in the public eye, or that the public could raise and request changes
Right.
before approval, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so
Yep.
we are not making changes to these drafts tonight.
No.
We are raising questions that if we want to see changes, those will happen at town meeting.
So we
Right.
can't make substantive changes at town meeting either, so you would
up or they vote it down and we go back to the existing regulation. When this goes to town meeting, that's basically it.
Is it a substantive change just to plastic bag, or to eliminate
That's why I want to see
transparent?
the language again, just as
That shouldn't be a big
right.
deal.
As far as being able,
D2 says
Yeah.
facility staff will periodically inspect municipal solid waste to ensure that items that are hazardous are not being deposited at the waste transfer station.
yep, that allows us to
Yeah.
inspect items, yes.
Garrett?
And actually, it's number 1. It currently says preparation of materials for disposal, D, number 1. Current ordinance says all municipal household waste to be disposed of at the waste transfer station will be deposited at the facility in trash bags that are transparent enough to allow for visual inspections of the contents.
So if we remove that, we're changing lettering, and that's a substantial change at this point. There's not much we can do about it.
Garrett?
And,
Just in response to the clear trash bag thing, I think when a government starts trying to tell you people what color trash bags you're using, I think that's starting to exert a dangerous amount of control over people's lives. So I say you keep that right down there in Turner, Maine, and you can have it down there, but around here, clear trash bags telling people what color their trash bags have to be, that's a dangerous, dangerous amount of control that a government's trying to exert over its people. And I can't imagine a more inappropriate rule.
and like I said, that's the same wording is in our current ordinance versus the updated ordinance. That wording's been in there for at least 24 years.
So transparent enough is just like a little
Transparent enough.
hole in the top, right?
Well,
There's a lot of bad laws and rules that were made more than 24 years ago. So not just because it's an old rule, doesn't mean it's a good one.
and I can tell you, I've never seen anybody with black trash bags be turned away from the facility in my almost 14 years with the town.
But
Right, we
But
get
if you
that,
wanna-
but the point is.
Yeah,
is that
no, I know, it's in there.
And
Yep.
it should come out.
Yeah,
I would like to see it out if possible. I think that if this comes to light at the warrant meeting, you'll see the whole ordinance voted down, because
Mm-hmm. Right.
people will be that angry about it, even though it's not being enforced. But you can't argue that way.
yeah, I know. No, I completely understand. That's why I hadn't made any changes to it, and I just
This is
kept it
going to apply
as
to
is, so.
the conversations that ensued tonight, too. Where is the chance to influence the language if this is the first time we're seeing the changes and it goes before the town body and it's either up or down, and it
There's a
requires a
process.
town meeting to change an ordinance? Where,
So the public hearings at the planning boards discuss these ordinances at length over months, not just 1 or 2 meetings. So everyone has an opportunity. It's on the agenda for the planning board meetings. There's ample opportunity for folks to come and voice their opinions.
I think we did, what, 4 or 5 meetings on this ordinance, I believe?
okay?
Yeah. Yep. So I've just reviewed all the changes. And ultimately, that the planning board had reviewed, the town planner had reviewed. This is what the town planner did. As far as implementing the discussed changes, the updated format, and that's where I'm at.
Okay, thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome.
Janet, if you can make it quick.
I have a question of, if this does change and end up being clear bags, where the heck do you buy it? I've never seen them. Like schools and hospitals buy it.
Town sells them.
Not, the elderly don't all have, my dad will not touch a computer. So where is everybody gonna get them, and how expensive are they? Because people are gonna have to budget this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't use black bags. I buy them in Hannaford. They're not expensive. So they exist. They exist. And I guess the point, Janet, is that the ordinance has said transparent enough bags for the last 20 years. It's already the ordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Transparent enough to, I mean, me, being kind of simple, I think of it as, okay, if I see a black bag that's in the shape of a body or an animal or something, yes, I'm going to stop somebody. Or if I see a black bag full of cardboard boxes, I'm going to go educate that person, you know. but that's the way I work.
Yes.
And I understand you want to be clear in the ordinance.
My idea as far as the black bags are concerned, I do use them when I do adjust to what I put in and where I put it in at the waste station. My issue is if you go to clear bags, which, you know, it's not gonna happen, all your black bags are gonna be out on the Russell Road or East Ridge Road or, you know, in those places and not at the recycle center.
And I know myself, I use black bags when I'm hoeing up my husband's garage. You know, you need those stronger bags. Absolutely. But,
So the question is,
yeah.
can we reword that, because is that going to create a problem?
We can double check with Ken.
Yep.
We should try to reword that.
What, from my perspective, if they voted up or down, the language is still there in the existing ordinance.
It's still there.
We could, if they approve it, we can come back in the fall for a special town meeting with updated language and then re-vote it in. That's probably the best course of action.
The main things I want to see out of there is the fees that are completely out of date, the hours of operation that are completely out of date. Those were the main things that I was focused on.
I agree, but when
Yeah.
you're explaining this to the townspeople,
Yep.
all they're going to see is they
Right.
can't use their trash bags anymore, and they're
Right.
going to vote this down.
But the thing is if they vote it down, our current ordinance that's in place says the exact same thing.
Yes, yeah.
So
I'm just,
that's the only thing.
John, can you make it quick so we can move on, please?
Real quick, I just want to ask Cindy one question. Who checks the bags when the private haulers dump them over there at Richmond?
No. Unless I go up and search through a load just to make sure there's no other towns in there.
We don't know what they're dumping.
Nope.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yep.
Is there any further questions? If there are no further questions,
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. I like your idea.
so I would entertain a vote now by the board to make a motion to approve this ordinance.
You get to close the public hearing first.
Oh, I thought I had to
No,
do that
close
first
the
and then
public
close
hearing
it.
and then vote.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Okay, so I will now close the public hearing, and I will then entertain a vote to make a motion to approve this ordinance, the amended solid waste ordinance.
I move that this board approve putting the draft solid waste ordinance on the warrant for town meeting.
Second.
First from Amber and a second from Kevin. All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
And just the clarification there is that it's the town body that votes to change these, not us. We're just
Right.
approving that it go before them.
So I was going to say, this item will proceed through the warrant process and will be voted on separately at the town meeting.
I just want to make a comment that I feel that the only reason I would vote for that, like I just did, is because it's the same in the previous ordinance, but I don't feel right that we're just passing it because it feels incomplete. It feels like we're doing our job half-assed, to be honest with you. So, I mean, if they vote it down at the town meeting, it goes back to the same way, so, but I feel that we're doing a half-assed job on that.
And that's why I asked the question of Brian, if the method to change this language is at the planning board level, then we move forward as a board asking the planning board for changes.
Yeah, and I do want to clarify, though, that this is the second attempt at a public hearing for these ordinances. Everyone's had a month to relook at them. This isn't just tonight where you're first seeing them. They were on an agenda prior to, but there was the typo with the location of that public hearing, so it was removed. So, I mean, there has been ample time for folks to review it.
But
Like,
what you're saying, though, is that review and discussion by the
Yes.
select board cannot result in changes to the draft.
Typically, it could, but because of the constraints we're operating under with less than 2 weeks from town meeting, there's no time for substantive changes that would require another 30-day review, public hearing, and that whole process. It's the timeline is what we're up against.
So if 60 days ago, we'd had a public hearing and we had contested some of this language,
Yep. It would have gone back to the planning board.
the planning board would have had to have a meeting, they would have
Yep.
had to agree.
Yep.
changes to that draft would happen,
Yep.
and then notification of another public hearing.
Yes.
So the path forward, if there's changes on any of these now, is to ask the planning board to take it up in an ongoing cycle.
Changes we can make, like the fee schedule, you know, if we were gonna assess penalties for sorting or anything.
And then it has to go back to town meeting, right?
Yeah.
That could be our.
And these were all submitted back in March, so, you know, our office did our part, so. Ready to
Okay.
move on.
Thank you, Brian.
Somebody wasn't paying.
You probably should just stay right there, Brian.
I'm going to stay right here, yes.
So I'm now going to open the public hearing for the next item, which is the amended site plan review ordinance. And Brian, do you think you could discuss that?
So what I'm going to do, I've just laid out the major changes to the ordinance. It's going to sound like not a whole lot, but it really is. The biggest structural change, we're streamlining the process and eliminating some red tape by removing all language referencing staff review committee. The staff review committee to this point has been the code officer, fire chief, police chief, a representative from Skowhegan Economic Development Corporation, the town planner, so forth. It's been a struggle to get a quorum the last few years for those meetings, and it seems to be a huge waste of time for our developers. It's not very business friendly. So by eliminating that process, we can expedite the permitting process. But as part of that change is we're not disregarding those department heads and their valuable input for a development. The developer comes in and asks those individual departments for a letter to serve, much like they already do for solid waste management and pollution control. Now it's just across the board, you get a letter to serve, and that says to the planning board when they review the project that those departments are in agreement that the project meets the ordinance and they're okay with moving forward with it. The next big structural change is the housing and parking reform that's come down from bills that have passed over the last year. So we've had to, specific to housing in Maine, we've had to reduce the parking requirements. We can no longer require more than 2 spaces per unit. So that's multifamily, all of it, any type of housing. And then we've updated the entire commercial parking requirements. And just to name a few, retail, office, and medical, we've reduced it down to 2 to 3 spaces per, no, it's 2 spaces per 1,000 square feet, whereas it used to be 5 or 6. Warehousing's now a half space per 1,000 square foot, whereas it used to be 1. Schools and libraries, we cut those in half. That was 2, reduced it down to 1 per 1,000 square feet. This is all based on a parking report that the town, I believe Main Street conducted that with a third party, but this is based on that report. The report basically says the town doesn't have a parking problem. We have basically a walking problem, as Steve Gavoni puts it. So this increases the planning board's flexibility. They now have explicit authority to reduce parking requirements based on shared parking arrangements. I believe Eli's been part of that. So a developer can come in and go see anyone in town that has private parking lot, the Heights, for example. They can get an agreement, a memorandum of understanding, or some other legal document, get it signed that says, these folks are gonna give us 20 spaces towards our development. That would be approved by the planning board. And then proximity to public parking within a quarter of a mile, they can utilize that so long as they have an agreement with the select board stating that you can use our municipal parking spaces. So as part of their proposal in their application, they'd have to come before you folks before submitting that application to get those approvals in place first.
Could that be for residential as well?
Yeah, any development, yeah. So I mean, this is basically geared towards getting our downtown fully developed, hopefully. This is a step in the right direction. The other step in that is they could also get a parking demand analysis done by a third party. And what that determination will set the stage for their parking requirements for that development. So there's different layers to that. That's basically it for that ordinance.
And then I think I read, Brian, too, I don't know if it's new language, but language about time of use of parking.
Yes,
Because that
yep.
does matter, and I don't think that was in the ordinance before.
It certainly does matter. It was not in the ordinance before. Yep.
Any further questions?
I really appreciate those changes. I know that those didn't come about by executing the subgroups that were discussed with the planning board. I never heard again about a parking committee, but I appreciate this because this has been a restrictive part of development for me and many others in the downtown, so this is helpful. The only other thing, and I'm not going to press this issue on my vote one way or another, is just the language in here is starting to use the term select board, which I appreciate. Planning board, we don't have planning men.
Yep.
And there are still lots of instances of calling it select men make this decision. So just if we could.
In this ordinance?
Yes, if we could.
There is,
towards
okay.
Consistency, that'd be.
Those are not substantive changes, so I can make those amendments.
Okay.
Awesome.
I'll help you find them.
I can do that. Quick word search will take care of that.
Thank you.
If there are no further questions, I will close this public meeting regarding the amended site plan review ordinance. And I will entertain a motion to approve the amended site plan review ordinance.
We're not approving it.
Well, that's what I was,
Yeah.
what would you like me to say?
I move that we approve putting the amended site plan review ordinance on the warrant for town meeting.
That's already been done. You guys need to approve the actual ordinance. Sorry, I didn't catch that first half and I was in La La Land or
Yeah,
something.
I think that what they want is us to approve the ordinance.
Yeah.
It's already going.
It's already
to the
going
warrant.
on. You
They
guys
want
already
to
approved the
select-
warrant with the ordinances on there.
Yeah.
So now we just need the approved.
But the town body makes the decision, so you would like us to recommend approval?
Yes, you guys have, to. That's the legal step in the process, is you folks have to actually vote to approve the ordinance as written, or with amendments. And then it goes to the town meeting warrant. This whole process is a mess, right? But it's due to all that we've been going through, and we're up against it right now, so. Typically, you folks would see this a month or two prior to approving the town meeting warrant. This is kind of retroactive at this point because the last meeting, this was all supposed to take place, but there was a typo on the public notice, the wrong location. So you folks need to approve the language. It's going on you've already approved it going on the warrant.
So I'll try it again. I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended site plan review ordinance as written.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a first from Amber and a second from Kevin. All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
We may then need to revise the language to the solid waste ordinance motion.
Maybe I vote.
I thought that one was done correctly.
I think I passed it the same way. I didn't.
Yeah.
approve the draft for the.
Yeah.
Right, because it's my understanding that the town body makes the decision about ordinances, so.
So you approve the draft, but not approval of the.
Right, I worded it that we approve the draft be presented at the town meeting.
Okay, so we can amend that, or we can just have another vote to approve the amended solid waste ordinance as written. I'm in great territory here.
I know, I move to rescind the prior motion and vote, and to approve the amended solid waste ordinance.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a first from Amber and a second from Kevin. All those in favor? Motion carries. Rescind and approve. Item 1. All right. With that said, I would like to open the public hearing for the Cannabis Moratorium.
Oh, that's next. Okay. I mean, that one's pretty straightforward. As you know, we had a
button item in town quite a few months ago, where some folks went to the zoning board of appeals with one of their developments. So this is just going to basically give the town 180 days to get their stuff together, because our ordinance pertaining to marijuana in this town is outdated. It's dated 2017, and it seems like almost every year since, legislature has proposed bills, and those bills have been signed into law. So we need some time to get ahead of this.
So does this replace a 2017?
This is just a moratorium on any activity related to cannabis in the town of Skowhegan.
For 180 days.
Yep,
With the exception of existing.
existing. They just can't expand or, change their services or otherwise.
If one is existing, can it sell it to a buyer?
If you look at, so one exists and they want to sell it. So that's a tough one. If someone was to sell any other business to another owner, that's a change of use per the building code. That's the international existing building code. So maybe, maybe not.
I think that's an issue that'll have to be looked at. I had a
Yeah.
constituent call me in regards to a situation similar to that
Yeah,
in this town.
yeah,
So maybe I'll get with you and discuss it.
Yep.
She was looking for an answer.
sure,
Thank you.
yep.
Are there any further questions? Or is there anybody else who would like to discuss the issue regarding the cannabis moratorium? Yes, Gail?
Can I just, a point of order? These are already on the warrant. The board's not voting to approve them. This is just a public hearing to let the public know about this.
No, it's both. They're having the public hearing, and then they have to subsequently approve or deny or reject the ordinance.
But I'm being told from someone else who used to have a
This is
hearing
how
on
we've done
this.
it for 7 years that I've been here,
I'm told
so.
that the select board don't approve them, but
So Gail,
no, I'm hearing no vote is necessary.
okay, Gail, originally that was my thought. Originally, that was my thought as well. I've inquired from a couple other department heads, and they say that this has to be voted on.
Because
And
it says, no vote is necessary at all on all of these. If they had met a month ago, they would have voted to put it on the warrant, not to approve it.
And so
I'm just saying what I'm hearing.
what I think I'm hearing is that you need a retroactive vote tonight because it's already on the warrant,
Right.
which is why I've been wording it that we put the draft on the warrant.
I don't know. The process that I've been involved in prior town managers, this is the process we followed since I've been here. And if it's wrong, then, but that's the process that we were taught to follow. So comes from the planning board to you folks for a recommendation for approval. We have the public hearing, and then you approve it. That's how it's been done I've been here 7 years. You guys can do it how you want, I suppose, but
But I believe it is.
procedurally, that's just the way it's been done, so.
Because there was no approval, Gail, prior to this, though, that allowed those to go on the warrant, right? We did not vote to allow those to go on the warrant prior to this.
yeah,
I mean,
True.
their approval,
True.
your approval tonight is not saying that this ordinance is enacted because you approved it. The law states that the legislative body, these folks sitting here upstairs on June 8th, are the ones that approve or deny the ordinance. So,
Yeah, and to Gail's point, we already approved the warrant that will be presented to the taxpayer at the last meeting. And these are on the warrant.
I think the point I want to make is we are relying on town officers to guide us through this process. And there obviously are a couple different opinions here. And so I just think that we have to rely on that and move forward unless we're doing something that is going to mess up.
there's nothing,
Follow-
doing it this way is not going to harm the process.
Okay.
It's not.
So if we're being redundant and it's not harming the process, we might as well just move forward.
I think the only gray area is our prior conversation, for example, about transparent bags. And we are documenting an approval of the ordinance when there might be an appetite to still change it. So process doesn't allow us to change it right now.
What's your suggestion?
I already made it, so
There you go. I mean,
This is a procedure we've been following. I don't
So
know what else to say about it other
I'm
than
going to
that.
follow the department head, Brian. So let's move on. I closed the public hearing for cannabis moratorium. I will entertain a vote to approve the cannabis moratorium to go on the town meeting warrant.
Yes, I move that we approve this Town of Skowhegan cannabis establishment of a temporary moratorium for 180 days as established in this document.
Second.
I have a first from Kevin and a second from Ethan. All those in favor? I will now open the public hearing for the homeless shelter and camping ordinance. For discussion. Brian?
So this ordinance comes from a joint select board, planning board meeting back in October, I believe, of 2025. Something that's been kicked around for several months now. So here is the language in front of you today. The core framework is just licensing requirements. Every shelter must obtain an annual license from the select board, which is subject to initial and renewal inspections by the code enforcement officer. Location restrictions: shelters cannot be located within 1,000 feet of a public, private school or any designated safe zone or any other licensed homeless shelter. So this language comes from our controlled substance abuse ordinance. Designated safe zones, those are identified in the ordinance. There are 5 youth-oriented locations. Bucky Quinn is one, Pat Quinn, Memorial Field, Cartwright Fields, at the community center, and the Skowhegan Community Center itself. Operational and safety standards. The application process is a vetting process. License applicants must provide extensive documentation, including floor plans, security procedures, sanitation plans, and a 24-hour emergency contact. That language basically comes from our site plan review ordinance. Staffing and background checks are required. So shelters are required to conduct background checks for all employees and volunteers. The town may deny or revoke a license if staffing prevents a demonstrable risk to public safety. At least one staff member must be present whenever guests are present. So public health oversight: facilities must maintain a pest control program, conduct monthly bed bug inspections by a licensed professional, and notify the local health officer of any public health risks or infestations. For sanitation, the ordinance mandates specific facility ratios. Includes 1 toilet per 10 occupants, 1 sink per 10 occupants, and 1 shower per 15 occupants. So that's just for the shelters themselves. Moving on to the public property and encampment rules. Public camping is prohibited. Sleeping, camping, or habitation on municipal property is strictly prohibited unless specifically authorized. Encampment abatement: the town is granted the authority through this ordinance to direct individuals to vacate municipal property and to remove encampments and associated materials and restore it to public use. The enforcement agents for this ordinance are the code enforcement officer, deputy code officer, fire chief, deputy fire chief, and the Skowhegan Police Department. And then there's a revocation language in there. The select board may suspend or revoke a license for unsafe conditions, failure to pass inspections, or repeated nuisance complaints, defined as 3 or more substantiated violations within a 12-month period.
Are there any questions? Gail?
In the first one under purpose, when it says, sleeping on municipal property when adequate shelter is available. What does when adequate shelter is available mean?
whatever the legal definition of adequate shelter is, I guess. That's something Larry brought to me tonight, and,
They wouldn't be there if they actually.
right,
If there's not shelter, it can't take place.
right.
I'm pretty sure there's like a federal law around that. I don't know, there's a fancy vocabulary word for it too, and I don't have it, but essentially, you can sleep where you want, right?
As long as, I mean,
It's in the
when it comes to
Constitution.
municipal property, as long as it's not obstructing administrative functions, then typically and constitutionally, it's allowed. But we have the authority to enact an ordinance that does not allow that.
There,
Yes, Garrett.
Regarding the 1,000-foot barrier.
Yep.
Or limit, for example, Skowhegan, the MSAD 54, up on the high school property, they own all the way to Russell. So does that 1,000-foot mark, does that start at the Russell Road? Or
That
does it start
starts
the
at-
high school? I mean, is it from the actual property, the actual real property, or is it the building? How is that determined
It's measured from property lines.
from property?
Yep. It's a pretty big area.
I know this is just a hearing and we're just discussing these things, but to Gail's point, I wondered about the word adequate and how that's defined. I was curious how we define, this applies to all existing and new facilities that provide temporary sleeping. What is temporary? How long is temporary?
We're talking about homeless shelters. Those are temporary. We're not talking about hotels, motels, things of that nature.
Okay, temporary could be, I'm there for 3 years?
I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's just why I
yeah,
raise it.
yeah.
In rental law or apartment leases, there are lots of examples of how you define temporary guests and when do you consider them an unauthorized inhabitant of your rental, you know. I was curious why, so you said the safe zone language is related to drug-free communities?
Yeah, it's a controlled substance ordinance.
Okay. Later on in the document, page 4 into the document, it says that there are location restrictions, so within 1,000 feet of public or private schools, within 1,000 feet of any safe zone. I'm just curious, why are the only safe zones ball fields?
It's not, well, I don't know. That's just the language that came from the controlled substance ordinance. That was adopted before my time, so I don't know where that language came from. But the planning board felt it appropriate to just migrate that language into this ordinance.
Okay, so we're only defining safe zones in Skowhegan as Bucky Quinn, Pat Quinn, Memorial Field, Carl Wright, and the community center.
In all public and private schools.
And so would there not be other safe zones the community would want to protect, like the trails where we've had?
There could be.
homeless, Like.
Could be.
And those are all town-owned, right? So is it redundant to name safe zones? Why wouldn't we then also name cemeteries or Coburn Park?
Great observations.
Okay. And then I just had a couple other, just ambiguity. The word nuisance is used, can't create a nuisance. We have an ordinance about backyard animals. Can't create a public nuisance. What constitutes a nuisance? My one neighbor doesn't like it.
It is ambiguous,
or my
right?
5 neighbors
'Cause
don't like it, or.
What's a nuisance to me may not be a nuisance
Right.
for anyone else.
Right,
That's up to a court of law to determine whether it's a nuisance or not.
okay. I had a question just about laundry. It requires laundry, but it doesn't say on-site laundry. So if you have someone running out to the laundromat, is that fine? Or do they have to have on-site laundry?
As long as, yeah, I mean, as long as they're laundering their clothes.
Okay. It requires a good neighbor policy be in place. What are we looking for in a good neighbor policy?
I'm not positive on that. I wasn't present for the planning board discussions on this ordinance, so.
Okay. And the other ambiguity, the phrase I read was, we have the right to dismantle an encampment to restore public use of the property. So what is public use of the property if there's an encampment in a cemetery and it's off on a wooded edge and they're not obstructing the public passageway, doesn't block me from visiting the gravestone I want to block? Why does it?
We still have the authority to go in there and remove those folks from the property and clean up the encampment.
Right, so what I'm raising is that there's ambiguity here around making the argument that I'm not obstructing the public use of the property, right? Just because I'm here doesn't mean you can't publicly use the property. So again, it's just an ambiguous phrase that I think causes room for.
Yeah, I think what Amber's shining a light on is the lack of public involvement in these ordinances and getting people involved to come to the planning board meetings and get their input. She brings up many good points, variables in these documents that we're reviewing tonight, but the lack of participation by the public is seriously some of the material or information that we're lacking to make good decisions and good choices in how these ordinances should be written. So I would stress to people, when there's planning board meetings or when there's any type of meeting that's informational or where you have a chance to get your input into it, is that you attend. Either that or come to the meeting in June 9th, I believe it is, and vote your conscience then. But what's on that paper is what was produced from the people that were available. So that's it.
Thank you, Kevin. And I would like to add that if anyone here or at home watching has any ideas on how to get more participation, I'm all ears. Come talk to me. We'll do what we need to do to make sure people are getting involved, so. Maybe, yeah.
Are there any further questions?
I'll have a cooler out in the truck too, I guess.
I will now close the public hearing on homeless shelter and camping ordinance. And I will entertain a motion to approve the homeless shelter and camping ordinance as written.
So moved.
Second.
I have a first from Ethan and a second from Kevin. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 4-1. I will now open the public hearing for the Town of Skowhegan Comprehensive Plan.
So this document, this has been, oh my goodness, three plus years in the making. Large amount of turnover at KV-COG, so that we had some periods of time where the comp plan wasn't being worked on, so that's why it's taken this long to get it to you folks. I want to stress that this is the blueprint for the town's planning for the next 10 years. The last plan was from 2010. We're 16 years later. We should be updating it every 10 years. As long as I'm around here, we're going to stick to that schedule as much as we can. So by you folks approving this upstairs, you're setting the tone for the town for the next 10 years. So when myself or Denise or Ryan or any other department head or the town manager comes before this board with a plan for a project, it's likely coming from this document that you all voted on and said, yep, we like this, let's go with it. So that's kind of all the projects you've seen since 2010 and prior, those were plucked right out of the comprehensive plan. So these aren't projects that were just pulling out of thin air. These are all planned projects that the voters approved. And there's a long, arduous public engagement process that comes with this. There were lots of opportunities and legally required public engagement opportunities, so this is definitely one document that everyone's had a chance to review and speak their piece on. The biggest changes to the comp plan are related to demographics, land use and fiscal realities, things of that nature. For instance, one of the key demographic realities in Skowhegan is in 2010, since 2010, the median age in Skowhegan has risen to 45.7. It's grown by almost 79% over the last 22 years. That's not from since 2010. This is the last 22 years. Another thing to note is that the average household size has dropped to 2.18. So family sizes are lower. So that means we need more housing to house the people that we currently have. That's not even considering the amount of housing that we need to get people to come to Skowhegan. Since 1990, more people have left Skowhegan than have come to Skowhegan. And that still hasn't helped the housing situation. You would think that it would, but it's not. There are other contributing factors. The new plan. So historically, 95% of new growth has happened randomly within town. Since 2010, there has been a growth area identified within the plan, and that's the 201 corridor. There's been next to no development in that area. So this plan is kind of trying to set the path for the next 10 years to try to develop that area. When we set a goal within this comp plan, the next 10 years, we should be trying to achieve that, as long as we can do so responsibly, fiscally and environmentally, obviously. The River Park has been a staple in this document for 26 years, and it continues to be in this amendment. The other additions to the plan is the Witten Brook restoration. I know they've been working on that for a number of years, but we're trying to kind of hone in on that particular project as well as the Courier Brook project. Those are two projects that weren't necessarily identified properly in the prior plan, so we're trying to highlight those. And some of these things we're already working on. We're going to send a site plan review ordinance to the taxpayers next month to lower parking requirements, which is going to increase ADU potential, and obviously downtown parking is going to be alleviated as far as development goes. So just going back to demographic realities, in 2010, the median age in Skowhegan was 39. And obviously that's risen to almost 46. And the 65-plus-year-old demographic has grown by 70+% in the last 22 years. So this plan is really got to key in on that aging population and try to develop the town in a way that allows them to enjoy to continue living here and afford to continue living here, as well as putting things in place so that we can retain our youth. So it's obviously going to be quite a balancing act, but it is laid out in the plan. Environmental action has been, for me, that's one of the biggest things that I've been pushing in this plan. A lot of developments happened, especially with solar developments in town in the last 6 years, and very little consideration has been given to stormwater management. Courier Brook is a prime example of poor management of our stormwater systems. Development has spiked, and now we're seeing the effect of that. We're seeing erosion, we're seeing flooding that we've never seen before. So this plan is kind of telling the town that we need to look at all of our watersheds and develop a plan to protect them, and then adjust our ordinances so that we can make sure that that happens. Those are basically the biggest changes in the comp plan.
Thank you, Brian. Are there any questions?
Can I just add, If you haven't reviewed that document, I strongly encourage everybody to do that before you go to town meeting, because like I said, this is setting the direction of the town for the next 10 years, so that, you know, this time next year, someone comes, like I said, someone comes before the board with a project that's in this comp plan. Folks had a chance then, right now, you have a chance to say, no, we don't want that, or yes, we do want that. So it's important that you read the document and get involved in the process.
Yes, Garrett?
I read the, well, I didn't read the whole document because I didn't have 6 months to do it. But I noticed it came out on Facebook, I think on Friday. And that was pretty much the day that it was published and released to the public. And with the town meeting coming up on June 8th, that doesn't give us a heck of a lot of time to review it. And it's a massive, massive document dump.
It sure
I
is.
mean, it is a massive dump, and I don't know if I sat down 2 hours a night until the town meeting, if I'd get through the damn thing.
Right.
I mean, so to expect the town, I mean, to Kevin's point, yeah, we need our people to be involved in the town decisions. We need people to show up. But when you put a document dump on them of that caliber and then say, yeah, you're voting on this in 2 weeks, be ready. I mean, I think that's an unreasonable request. And I think that document should have been available 3 months ago to give people proper time to digest it. But you gave it to us on Labor Day weekend. Who the hell's available to sit down with a 300-page document on Labor Day weekend to make decisions on what the town's gonna do over the next 10 years? I mean, when I looked at that, I was like, you gotta be kidding. The earliest someone's even gonna get to it's Tuesday. And by that time, they probably forgot about it, because when they saw it, they were hungover.
Right. So respectfully, Garrett, this document's been in the public's, it's been available to the public for over a year now. This document's been done for quite some time, and there was a long process for public engagement, planning board meetings where folks could get involved and see what we're talking about. So I don't think it's fair to say that, yes, it's unfortunate that it was the day before the weekend that we posted it, but I'm the one who posted it. I just wanted to make sure that folks who hadn't seen it to this point get an opportunity to do so. And maybe that's, you know, the town does need to do a better job moving forward of keeping you folks informed.
I believe it was
But
those
that-
copies.
That document's been out for quite some time.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
What was the first time it was, but like, was it posted on the Facebook page publicly?
No, it's been on the town's website for quite some time. Yep.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, Janet?
I have a question. I have gone to some planning board meetings, and I've stood up and said, I don't agree with a solar farm if these 5 neighbors don't like it because they're looking at it, and you can't tell about the water and the whole shed of where it's going and all that. And they're like, but it meets the qualifications. I was like, then how do we change the qualifications? Is it this thing? Because if it is, I can't read 300 pages to figure out how to change it. I'm telling you.
So, I mean, so yes, that specific situation is why we're highlighting
So where is it
stormwater.
in there?
It's
So
in
I
the
can
comp
look
plan.
at
I can find
And
the
I want
specific
about-
location.
I want about the cannabis thing too. I want to know where that is in the plan.
That's
because-
not, that came after the plan was
Those are
written.
things that are near and dear to me.
Mhm.
And that's what I want to know, things like that. Like you have your own little separate thing about the shelter and where people can go or whatever. Is that anything in there involved in that? Is that anything like that going to affect any of these other things?
Like I said, the cannabis ordinance and the shelter, homeless shelter and encampment ordinance came after this document was completed, so those would not be in that comp plan. But if anyone has specific questions, reach out. I'll try my best before town meeting to answer your questions.
Yeah, I just get told that, well, it meets the criteria. It's
Yeah,
here in
it's,
front of us, so we can.
right, so with our land use ordinance, not to get off track, and Whitney, you can shut me up anytime you want here, but they do have to make decisions based on what's written in the ordinance at that time. And sometimes you don't like that, but that's just the way it is, it's the law. We don't have any other choice, so.
Thank you, Brian. If there's no further discussion, I will close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the Town of Skowhegan Comprehensive Plan.
I move that we approve the town's comprehensive plan for the warrant.
Second.
I have a first from Kevin and a second from Ethan. All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, wow. So now we're going to move to, do you want me to jump right to the regular agenda right now, or do you want to go
your
through the
consent
consent?
agenda, but when you get to the regular agenda,
Yes,
if you can move.
I'll jump to
item
8. Absolutely. Yes. So we're going to move to the consent agenda. And do I have a motion to approve the regular Select Board meeting minutes from May 12th, 2026, and the special Select Board meeting from May 19th, 2026? Are there any changes?
I move we approve both sets of meeting minutes from May 12th and May 19th with one minor spelling correction on the May 12th minutes, which have already been communicated and reflected in what we will sign tonight.
I also have one change in the minutes that I'd like to have dealt with. It's related to items by the public. Harvey Austin mentioned Wits End $80,000 TIF. Wits End was sold prior to this, and so the TIF is related to Brickyard Hollow. So I'd like to remove Wits End and put Brickyard Hollow in there to make it accurate.
Is there, I'm happy to include that in the changes. Is there, What's End is what Harvey said. I have faced this at the planning board as well. We
Yes.
would not change the minutes because what was said by Harvey was said by Harvey.
Yes.
Even though it was wrong. And so, is there a way to reflect in the minutes? He did say Wits End, but in parentheses, now Brickyard Hollow.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Or
Check on that.
Misstated,
misstated
now
Misstated.
Brickyard, yes.
is Brickyard Hollow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I move we approve the minutes for May 12th with those two changes.
Second.
I have a first from Amber and a second from Ethan. And Eli is abstaining because he was not there. All those in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, we're now going to move to the regular agenda, and we're going to jump to item 8. And item 8 is a discussion and decision to rescind the vote taken at the November 14th, 2023 Select Board meeting. And the motion was made by Steve Gavoni and seconded by Paul York to approve the surface for the Field 1 as grass and the surface for Field 2 as artificial turf. The vote passed on a 3-2. Harold Bigelow and Charles Robbins opposed. And to change that motion to a motion to accept the Recreation Advisory Committee recommendation of a sod multi-use field and other selected items with the contingency that the kitchen allowance and concession utility building will be potentially reduced, and authorize Donnie Zaleski to sign a Phase 2 contract with Ranger for no more than $2,734,230. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a first from Kevin and a second from Ethan. Discussion, please.
I've read the materials, but can you explain wherever this came from? Explain where this is coming from?
This has been a pretty entertaining couple of hours for me. So we opted to put a 2023 vote back on the table due to the completion and cost of Phase 1 of the project. And we thought it was really important to go over numbers again and just to make sure that funds secured by the Parks and Rec regarding grant money would still be an accurate reflection of the cost in 2026. So through a couple meetings, actually through a couple years' worth of meetings, and then the completion of Phase 1 of the field project, I believe you all have a copy of the itemized breakdown. And when we met a couple weeks ago as a rec advisory committee, we essentially went line item for line item. Is this a need versus a want? Does this entail money that was already spent for infrastructure for future field use, right? So when we did Phase 1 of the project, there was a lot of, we're gonna lay the groundwork now while everything is torn up so that we have a project that we don't have to dig up later to add additional things. So a lot of the foundational work for Phase 2 is already was part of Phase 1. So it's really just completing all of the things that have been started. So we met, and the Rec Advisory Committee also includes 2 select board members, Ethan and Kevin, and we went line by line and said, need, want, is it worth the cost to look at later on? Should we table this item for down the road? What would the impact be if we waited for it to go down the road? And what would that do if we didn't get a grant down the road to complete those things?
Could you identify your name for the public?
Yes.
Thanks.
I am Chris Wills. I am the chair of the Rec Advisory Committee.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep. So when we went down line item by line item, all of this is being paid for out of grant money that was secured by Denise. And we decided that the total package was, in fact, like $2.7 million, but we wanted to leave more room for contingencies. So the other items would have put that very close to the 3 million mark, and we were afraid if there were change orders or overages that it would affect that grant and the ability for the town to pay for any of those overages. So what we're hoping for is we're hoping that we will get approval to submit to Ranger for this 2.7 and some change to start Phase 2 of the project.
Thank you. And can I just clarify the way this item is worded, that we approve the Rec Advisory Committee recommendation of a sod multi-use field and other selected items with the contingency that the kitchen allowance could potentially be reduced. You don't intend to mean that it will only be sod if the kitchen allowance is reduced. I think you mean, and the contingency that the kitchen allowance may be reduced, right?
Correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Wasn't the kitchen allowance an extra? And wasn't that an add-on?
Yeah, and they approved it, but approval that it would be reduced. Remember the one-
So Ethan, I think that might have been after you had to leave. So we left it in there as that total package because we were also still tossing around the idea of how much do we need for the kitchen allowance, depending on square footage, ventilation, and all of those things. But that's why it's worded in the agenda that the kitchen allowance might be potentially reduced, because we agreed as a rec advisory committee that if we did not need $150,000 worth of allowance for ventilation, fire suppression, and all of those things, that amount could be reduced, which is why it's a separate line item as an allowance, instead of just part of concessions.
And I believe the other reason why it's still left at 150 on this quote is because we did not have time enough to go back and re-quote it and have it ready for
Right.
this meeting also.
So my concern with that is that we leave that money in the quote. It's already there, it's been approved. So what is forcing the idea that we're gonna go back and reduce that $150,000 kitchen allowance. I don't believe we need a $150,000 kitchen to cook hot dogs and hamburgers at a baseball game.
I was
I mean,
waiting
we
for
can
you
go
to say
we
that.
can go to Home Depot and we can get a grill and cook them.
Right, but one of the things that we discussed at our rec advisory committee meeting was when that building was quoted exactly as it was, that $150,000 was for the fire suppression, the water lines, and the grease traps, and all of those additional things based on the original building quote for that particular concession stand. And I hate to call it a concession stand because it is actually not a concession stand in the way that we typically think about it, where it's just this big shack where we're selling hamburgers and hot dogs. It was more than that. It had our heated bathrooms, which is now like a code item based on the square footage of the complex. It is also providing storage. It has all of the, if I remember correctly, it also included all of the like utilities for water, the plumbing, the electrical, all of those mechanisms were going to be housed. For transparency, it's not actually just a concession stand, right? So when you look at that item and it says $414,000, and then you flip the page and it's $150,000, now it looks absolutely ridiculous. But I don't like to call it a concession stand. It's really just a big utility building in which it has bathrooms and a kitchen area. That's why the kitchen part of it was left on its own line item so that down the road, those things could be discussed and negotiated. But getting ahead of this for this meeting, we did not have time to go back and re-quote that particular line.
So how do we move forward? Like, so we say we approve this, we're approved for the $2,734,230. What is going to stop the project from being completed as designed? How are we going to do that? At what time frame are we going to get to the requote? Are we going to have a time that happens?
No, I believe it was discussed at the meeting after you'd left that that was going to be one of the next things that we take up is what do we really want in the kitchen area? You know, what is it that we really need to provide, sufficient equipment for the boosters and whoever uses the building to provide food and services to.
Because in fairness, if we asked for them to re-quote that $150,000 kitchen allowance, then we would also have to go back and research all of the codes for specific, like if you have a space that has X amount of square feet. And we just didn't, that's why it is there as an allowance. And that is one of those things that will be negotiated by, I believe it's Plymouth, right? It's going to be by Plymouth and Ranger on re-quoting those items.
So could we change the wording a little bit to say, instead of will potentially be reduced, to contingent on getting or re-quoting the utility building and kitchen, so we can at least ensure that we're going to look at the cost of that again and not end up with a $150,000 commercial kitchen, even though we may or may not want that? I don't want to commit. In my mind, I don't think the town, or I should vote to commit the town to putting a $150,000 kitchen in a utility building concession stand bathroom.
Good news, I agree with you.
That's irresponsible, honestly. Like, it's because the history of the town shows that if the money's there and it's approved, that we're just going to spend it. I don't think that's necessary.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I just want to remind everybody that's listening and everybody in this room that this is grant money. Like, this is not, we are not playing with taxpayer dollars. These are grant funds that have already been pre-secured up to $3 million, which is why it was important for us to take some items out so that we weren't so close to that line that if we had any change orders, it would push us over. As far as when we get down to the nitty-gritty about what color are we going to paint the walls and which oven are we getting, I think that could be better answered, or changing the wording could be better answered by maybe perhaps Denise or Plymouth Engineering.
Garrett?
Just to Ethan's point about the $150,000, I think we need to consider the size and scope of this. I mean, first of all, Denise did a great job getting a $3 million grant for our town.
Yes.
And there's gonna be a facility up there that a lot of people are gonna be coming from outside communities to use, you know, for summer tournaments and whatnot, that will benefit our kids. But it's also gonna benefit the local businesses in town. And, you know, so having a proper concession stand, you know, so when people want to show up to this venue in Skowhegan, I think it's gonna be, and trust me, I'm as fiscally conservative as they get. I don't like spending any extra money, and not to be argumentative, but it is taxpayer money. It may not be Skowhegan's taxes, but it's congressionally directed spending. It's our tax money. So we have to spend it, you know, responsibly. But I think it can be short-sighted and not to recognize that, you know, these fields are gonna be rented out, they're gonna be used for tournaments, and people are gonna be coming from a lot of outside communities. They're gonna be spending money at our gas stations, at Westfront Market, at House Pizza. They're gonna be all over town. So I'm not as concerned about that. My biggest concern here is we're spending $2.7 million. Is there money in that earmarked to try to convince George Bell to come be our clerk of the works again? Because while he was in charge up there, we've got a first-class facility, a first-class field. He did one hell of a bang-up job making sure that we've got maybe the finest amateur field in the state of Maine right now, up there at the rec center. And a huge hats off to him. So I think it would be very short-sighted if we didn't make sure that there was, you know, the 60,000 or whatever it is to get a clerk of the works to make sure that project is done appropriately.
Garrett?
Yeah, I see 171 here.
We've already hired the clerk of works, and that's Plymouth Engineering. We have a contract with them as clerk of works.
Okay?
And what was his name?
There is a 24-week line item for a
Scott,
clerk of the
really?
works.
Okay.
No, the other guy that he was talking about.
George Bell.
George Bell. He works for Steve Gavoni. He submitted a bid. The bid was substantially higher than Plymouth Engineering, and we went with Plymouth Engineering for clerk of works.
Okay.
So we've already contracted that out.
As long as we've got somebody good doing it, that's,
I think they're going to do a fine job.
okay.
Thank you.
So, I just have another question too, so we have $3 million. And if we don't spend all the money on this project, so there's roughly 270,000 left over. If we don't spend that money, what do we do with that money? Do we give it back?
It goes into part of the other project. This is one phase of a much larger project. The other thing I would tell you is that based on the prior change orders that we had for the previous project, the previous phase, I expect that most of that money will get used up.
So,
I do not believe that most of that money will get used up. I believe we negotiated, well, I say negotiated, we went with a 5% contingency because 95% of the groundwork is already in, and that's where you run into most of your surprises. So the utilities and stuff is already stubbed out where it needs to be to make it convenient, and I believe we're going to have less chance of having change orders, providing we give proper direction on what we want in the concession stand, utility building area, providing we give clear direction on what we want, and in the kitchen, when we finish that kitchen up. I believe there will be money left over to go along with the 300,000 that we'll be able to use on extending the athletic complex in the future. How many years did we have to spend the money?
2030, she said, right?
It's like 2035, 30.
So 2035, we have to, to utilize this money, So there's time enough to use it. We just need to figure out how we're going to save it. To Ethan's point, we need to spend it wisely, and we need to make sure that we do have a respectable looking facility. I mean, we're not going to go with T111 on the side of the snack shack. It's got to be something that's decent, that's going to stand the test of time, that's going to be presentable.
And my point to the $150,000 kitchen and saving money on the building itself is not just because I feel that we need to save the money, but if we don't have to give the money back and we have until 2035, if we can save $50,000 here and we can save $50,000 there, we can put that money into another portion of the project to get more done with our money.
We don't
That's-
have, you don't get the money.
Right, there you go.
They give us a bill, we pay, we submit the bill, they pay us back. They don't give us a check for $3 million and we go have a party, like, it's very cut and dry how it.
Regimented, yep.
It's our money. We pay
And
taxes.
it's
not
in
our.
It's
not in our checkbook.
It's not in
Right.
our check.
Okay.
The grant's very specific, I had to divvy it up, according to itemized, like you know, the electricity or amenities, things like that. So in the HUD grant, I, you know, had to recently put a budget in there. And also, just to let you know, our original plan for the concession stand that we did back, 2022. I've already submitted that after the meeting. We feel that is a concession stand that is more feasible, budget-wise, that we're gonna look into again. So, the one that was proposed to you guys that was made, years ago is what you see with the numbers. But we've already submitted the original concession we had planned in 2022.
And Denise, we still have a $330,000 LWCF grant in the waiting, right? What's the status of that?
We have a LWCF grant for the community center side, which we have extended it for a year. And the reimbursement, once we figure out where we're going, that will be reimbursement and that 330 would come back and go back into the ball field compound reserve account.
Yeah, that would be great. Kevin, I hope you're right. The
right.
more money left over, the more that could go into the next phase.
I'm pretty comfortable that we're in pretty good shape.
All right.
Are there
Any
any other
further
questions?
discussion?
We have a motion and a second to accept it as written, or would you prefer that it be reworded?
I feel that we should reword it.
I'm happy to
Yes.
take a stab at it.
Oh, yes, I would like, yeah. I like that idea.
It's all yours.
I move we consider a revision to the prior amendment to authorize Donnie Zaluski to sign a Phase 2 contract with Ranger Construction for no more than $2,734,230, $734,230, and that we request change orders to consider reducing the kitchen allowance line item, and that we accept the deduction for the provision of a sod multi-use field.
And what did you say? It was for the concession stand too. We want to include that also.
Concession and utility building.
Yes.
Concession and the utility building needs to be included in that requote also.
Is that the wording in the quote here?
Yeah, kitchen allowance and concession utility building.
Concession stand to
Slash.
construction.
So that we request change orders to consider reducing the kitchen allowance and the concession stand to construction line items. Those are two different line items.
Yes. So moved.
Second.
I have a first from Kevin and a second from Ethan.
Eli.
Eli, sorry. I've been doing well.
You have.
Good with that?
Yes,
Okay.
that sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. We're looking forward to a hell of a multi-purpose field, so
Thank you,
Yeah.
Denise.
Thank you, Denise.
thank you, Denise. All right, so we're going to go back to the item 1 of the regular agenda. And this is discussion and decision to allow Donnie Zaleski to accept an executive search proposal for a town manager with Maine Municipal Association for $6,600 to be expended from the Administration Capital Reserve / Information Technology Improvements designation.
I move we approve as written.
Second.
I have a first from Elijah and a second from Kevin. Discussion.
Nope, just need to get it going.
Yep, I support it. I know that many months ago, a year ago in our last search, we did receive some other proposals, but I do think it's appropriate to keep this within MMA and a municipal framework.
100%. Okay, any further discussion? Oh, yes, Garrett.
Who gets the $600?
Maine Municipal Association.
It is a HR specialist that can guide our hiring committee through the process of putting forth the job post and request for applicants. They will receive the applications, they will do the vetting, the background checks, the setting up of appointments. They will attend the process with us and help sit with us through the next hire.
And just for my information, what do we pay the Maine Municipal Association per year as a municipality for municipality membership?
I don't believe there's anybody here that has that answer.
I can tell you.
All right, Gail.
It's our dues,
Exactly, what do we pay?
but maybe between 10 and 11,000. But it has nothing to do when you're going out for searching for qualified candidates for placement, such as a town manager. That's our dues for other things.
I just have a problem with the Maine Municipal Association because they're paid for, our dues are paid, and we're gonna give them $6,600 of taxpayer money. Yet, they're not accountable to the taxpayers. Taxpayer can't pick up the phone and call the Maine Municipal Association, ask them a question, because I've tried. And the answer you get is, we don't represent you, we represent the people in your town. So if you have a question, you need to talk to the people in your town. And so I just personally have a problem with giving tax money to an organization that supposedly represents a municipality, but they won't take a phone call from a citizen. You have to be a town manager or someone else in that capacity to actually talk to them before they'll take your phone call.
Well, the dues are the dues we pay for what they do for us, other than when it's an employment search. And I know when I call up, I, as an elected official, have to be careful in what I do with them. I mean, I can call up and ask for legal advice with a situation that is occurring, but I have to state who I am and that I work for the municipality. So you're right, it is taxpayer money, but the sad thing is they can't spend the time because they would be just bombarded with questions from taxpayers. And I just think in the prior years, I know that different administrations did use MMA to conduct their town manager searches. And I believe that back then, we were very successful as a town to get a person in place that could do the job. And I just think that, not pointing any fingers or anything, but the last 3 years that we have been through at this town, I'm telling you, it has made me become an old woman. I'm telling you right now. I hope, only my hairdresser knows for sure, and I pray to God that I am able to retire at the end of my term. That's what I pray for every night. That's all I have to say.
So, next question, are we required to join the Maine Municipal Association? Are there municipalities that are not a part of it?
TR 1214, maybe. I've got to assume that most municipalities in the state of Maine are part of Maine Municipal.
I believe they are too. I mean, they're a great,
And any-
they're a great organization.
anybody that has more than 5 people that probably work together that can get into trouble with one another, it's going to need Maine Municipal to bail them out. It's something that I think is almost would be required for a town this size. It's good help when you need them. You can pick the phone up and you can get some guidance and get some lawyers that will help you, direct you through any type of situation.
Yeah, but that's the problem. They tell the town, they tell the select board, the town managers, and the town workers how far you can go. This is how far you can encroach. This is how far you can take it. And I don't like that. I don't like that approach. I mean, if the people that work for the town and work for the taxpayers can pick up the phone to ask how far can we go, how far can we do this, then the people that are paying the bills should be able to pick up the phone and say, why can they go that far? Why can they do this? How far can we go to push back? And because, we don't have anything where the town pays for the citizens to sign up to see how they can push back on the town.
Well, you got to attend these meetings if you're going to do that.
I do attend meetings.
Yep, this is the first time I've seen you here in quite a while. Second?
I was at the last one.
You was at the last one. Okay, so that's 2 in how long? All I'm stating is you got to be here if you want to have input on things. That's what I spoke to
I'd be
earlier.
concerned with the level of structure that they can provide, right? Like you saw tonight, we were confused several times about our processes and, they're like our education board, right? They're there to sort of like tell us what we can do. I don't look at it as like, okay, how far can we push back or whatnot? Maybe some people do, but then by design, you do have the town manager to call, to contact if you have a question about something. And I'm sure you have a really good point, Garrett, but it's probably just with MMA, right? Yeah.
What's it?
Your discussion point is probably better taken up with MMA,
Well, I take that
specifically. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's some sort of like public representative there, but it must just be a different process.
You're gonna have to whistle first.
I'll call him.
That would be awesome.
All right, any further discussion? All right. All those in favor to allow Donnie Zalewski to accept an executive search proposal for a town manager from the Maine Municipal Association for $6,600? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
And I'll just want to add that Donnie commits the town resources, so I was okay with how this is worded, but I want to be clear that the select board engages in the hiring process and hires the next town manager. And so there's a differentiation there, but I was comfortable with this language. You can just let us know, let our chair know, our chair can let us know how to be helpful in taking the next steps once this person's engaged.
Yep, absolutely, and I like all the talk about public committee as well, and I'd like to see the board solidify that during this process.
Yep.
So that we can address both things.
And this board has funneled suggested names to me, and we will need some time at a future meeting to decide how many and who that will be, so.
Awesome.
That can go on the next agenda. We're ready for that.
Okay.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item 2, discussion and decision to retroactively authorize Brian Bellevue to apply for the 2026 Maine Infrastructure Adaptation Fund grant. So that's an MIAF grant on behalf of the Highway Department for the total request of $474,321.50, and to approve the commitment of $24,964 in local matching funds from the existing department budgets, with the explicit condition that the final project accept and execution remains strictly contingent upon the passage of the municipal budget at the upcoming annual town meeting. Wow. Okay. Do I have a first?
I didn't write that. Maybe I did, I don't know.
So moved as written.
Second for discussion.
Thank you.
What part of this is retroactive? You've already applied for the grant? We already got the money? We're allowed to apply the monies retroactively? What's going
So
on?
I was relying on a misinterpretation of what Nick had asked for from this board back in January, referencing getting authority from the board to apply for grants and things of that nature. I was wrong in that interpretation, so I'm trying to correct that now. I applied for the grant. Hopefully we get it. With 1st of June, I'm supposed to check in with the state to see where that process is at. That's why I'm here now, is just to get your formal approval to go for the grant because it does require a match.
Is the 474 delineated, or is it for a specific project?
So 2 projects. One is the Oak Pond Road culvert replacement, and the other is the East River Road project.
Okay.
Yep.
So the contingency you're talking about is that this $34,964 in match, if the town budget passes, is already built into that budget.
Right.
We'll use approved monies as
Correct,
match.
because they're asking for funds to do these projects at town meeting. Because this is a reimbursement grant, they would have to do that regardless.
I mean, a 5% match seems like a pretty good deal.
Yeah, and they're gonna exceed that anyways, just by buying the culverts and paying for the pavement and things like that, so.
Well, good work.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a vote.
All those in favor?
All those in favor? I was thinking about reading it again.
I'm with you.
Motion carries
I'm with you.
5-0. Oh, boy. All right, item 3. Discussion and decision to allow Denise LeBlanc to expend $9,400 from the Rec Department Reserve External Facilities account for repairs to the Community Center Skate Park. PCS will be donating the materials. A motion, please.
So moved as written.
Second.
First from Kevin, second from Ethan. Denise, could you give us some details on this, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
So each year, as all our facilities, we do an inspection for safety before we open any public facility. PCS, Rick Pease, has inspected our skate park since it was constructed. And in the past, he has donated services and/or his labor and materials. After over the years, he inspected it this spring. We have extensive repairs this time around. He has sharpened his pencil very sharp, and he's going to donate the materials, and he will have his crew come over, which they typically do, fill the cracks. We have some extensive cracks in our structures. We do this every year, every other. He usually donates, like I said, his time, or we have Public Works help us seal the cracks so that we can take care of that. It's, 15, 18 years old, so we've been doing pretty good maintaining it. Like I said, there's $9,400 will be his cost that will pay for the repairs this year.
So 9,400 is the labor and materials are donated?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yep. In his email, that's what he stated, yes.
Does he do other skate parks around, or is it just this one that he kind of?
I'm not sure. We just, he's one of our volunteer coaches, and his kids have been in the program, so we have a really good relationship with him. So I couldn't tell you that.
It would be neat to see, to get some sort of advocate or.
Yep.
Somebody that knows
Yeah,
something about skating.
he does a great job, and that's all his work. And he's busy, and he just kind of squeezes us in because he lives local right here in town, so.
Amazing to have that resource.
Yep, so this will come out of the Reserve Rec Department External Facility account. I currently have $89,469.14 in there. A lot of it's designated for future repairs and stuff on outside. It's for all outside facilities, this account, so.
What's the threshold for required 2 bids?
Over
Over 10,000.
10,001, yeah,
Over 10.
Required.
yeah.
Okay.
And then we talked about this, and since he is volunteering and has a history of volunteering and doing repairs, I don't feel it's necessary.
I just wanted to make sure that we
Mhm.
didn't.
It's $10,001, I think it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah, so it's currently closed, so tomorrow, I'm going to give them a jingle so that we can get this fixed and opened up for public. So
Great.
we'll post it on our Facebook as soon as it's ready.
Thank you, Denise.
You're welcome.
Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Move on to item 4, discussion and decision to allow Ryan Johnston to expend $45,706.56 from the Extrication Fund Special Revenue Account to purchase battery-operated hydraulic rescue tools from IPS Industrial Protection Services, LLC.
Approve as written.
Second. First from Ethan and a second from Kevin. Elijah. Second from Kevin.
What would you like to know?
Those sound important. How important are they?
They're very important, actually. So our current set of hydraulic tools are run by a large motor and then hydraulic lines anywhere from 50 to 100 feet long. And with our limited staffing, it takes 3 people to get that from one place to another, get it started, and get moving on an extrication. These new tools are battery operated. So they take them off the truck, they hit the little button, and they start twisting the throttle and go to work right now. So we had 4 different bids from the 4 major manufacturers that we deal with on a regular basis. You will see, I don't know if you have that in your paperwork, you will see that was one quote that was a few $100s less, but that did not include mounting material. And so the IPS bid does, and basically it's how we mount them to the trucks. I have a great working relationship with all 4 vendors, so I would feel confident going with any of them. I have a really good relationship with IPS. So we tested these tools. Charles Robbins donated like 7 or 8 vehicles, and we had the manufacturer show up on 4 different days, and we had the same group of 5 firefighters go and test these tools, and they wrote me a pretty extensive list of their reflections. So just to give you a kind of an idea, the Homatro tool came in number 1. It was actually one of the better prices, and it's the best warranty. It has a 10-year warranty. You can use them underwater. And what's more important to me is that you use your large muscle group to operate them. Some of the manufacturers' tools, you use your thumb to operate them, and that can be very extensive on your thumb over 20 to 30 minutes, where you use like a motorcycle, you use your large muscle groups to operate them, so you can operate them a little longer. The cons that they had originally was the overall cost of the tool, just because they had heard fictitious numbers from, oh, this is a $100,000 tool or whatever. So when they wrote this, that's what they wrote. Well, it's a $45,000 set of tools. All the vendors are relatively close in price, but they're about $5,000 to $10,000 in the range. But the Homatro kind of fits us the best, and that's kind of why we really wanted to go with it. So, and it's also they have their own battery. Proprietary battery. And that actually, in my opinion, I teach this extrication thing, that's my niche. I stayed right out of this because I'm not the one using them. I wanted them to come to me and tell me what they wanted. But looking at why they did, I'm actually proud of these guys. They wrote this on their own. I didn't give them any direction. I just said, give me the reasons why. And they gave me all the reasons that I go teach this stuff. So it's just pretty honorable to hear our guys. And we had one of our youngest firefighters actually write one of these, and it was spot on with everybody else's. The battery life is one of the longest. The proprietary battery, to me, is actually better than, a lot of people like it because they have a DeWalt battery, great, and it goes on that tool, and that will work great in Milwaukee and so forth and so on. I like their own battery simply because I don't have to worry about the guys using them on the DeWalt Sawzall, the saw, and so forth and so on. And if you're ever familiar with firefighters and battery tools, just because they're on the truck doesn't mean they're on the truck, right? We have projects in the station, things like that, then we got to throw them back on the truck and the battery is half used. So having a battery like this is actually going to be better for us because it doesn't go to anything else other than that. So, and the fund that it comes from is a fund that's exclusively for extrication tools or extrication gloves or suits or things like that. And the way that we receive that money is when we go to a car accident and we cut somebody out of a car, or there's spills and things like that that we clean up, we actually can bill, excuse me, the insurance company, and the insurance company will pay. We only bill people that from out of town, so we don't bill, Skowhegan resident gets in an accident, we don't bill your insurance company for that. Even though it's built into your insurance and we don't do that. So we bill people from out of town and do that. And this has been building for the past, I don't know, longer than I've been here. And we have enough to purchase these jaws out of that, and it still leaves in the $5,000 to $7,000 range in that account. So we can continue to build it in the following years.
Very good. Any questions?
What are you gonna do with the old ones?
We're going to keep them. Whenever you call for an extrication tool, you should call for a second one. And we have a third that is really, really old, and that one we'll probably get rid of. But the second one we're going to keep on our truck, and that way there's always two sets of tools in town. Because tools do fail. The brand new ones will fail. So as long as we have that backup, then we don't have to rely on anybody else to bring it to us.
Any further questions? Thank you, Chief.
Actually, I want to give you guys these two. Things that I discussed with you before. You already have one.
Oh, yeah.
I do.
Thank you.
You guys can give it a shot, whatever.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. Gals.
All right, we'll vote. All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item 5, discussion and decision to allow Gail Pilot to withdraw from the Benjamin Sawyer Prize Fund for the amount of $34.52 for the 2026 recipient.
So moved as written.
Second.
First from Kevin, second from Ethan. Discussion.
Can we double it?
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Item 6, discussion and decision to rescind the vote taken on October 28, 2025. A motion was made by Elijah Saul and seconded by Kevin Nelson to accept Belanger Tree Care for the removal of 3 trees at the Water Pollution Control Plant for $4,200. The amount will be taken from the capital reserve account, building maintenance and improvement, with a current balance of $47,545. That vote carried 5-0. We will want to change this to a motion, or have a motion to change it, to award the tree removal quote for the water pollution control to Bergeron Tree Service for the amount of $5,500.
So
I'll
I,
entertain a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to award the tree removal quote for the water pollution control to Virgin Tree Service for the amount of $5,500.
I'll second that.
I have a first from Elijah and a second from Kevin. Donnie?
so I talked to Belanger. Originally they quoted this with the crane, and I guess there's been scheduling trouble with the crane. It's been about 7 months. We're getting to the fiscal year. I want to get this work done. So I talked to them. Nothing bad on them. I told them I'd bring them back into the next round of quote process, but for me, as a department head, 7 months is too long, and I'd like to get these trees removed, and so I'd like to revert to the next quoted amount of the $5,500.
That bid is still good at $5,500?
I confirmed with them, they're gonna honor that original bid from last year.
Good.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. We're going to move on to item 7, discussion and decision to authorize the town of Skowhegan to apply for the Maine ATV municipal grant through the Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry, and to appoint Brian Bellevue as the project director. There are no matching funds.
So moved as written.
Second.
First from Kevin, and a second from Ethan. Discussion, please.
No matching funds.
Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, we're going to skip down to the treasurer's warrant to be approved. I'll entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's warrants.
So moved as presented.
Second.
First from Amber and a second from Ethan. All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. We're moving on to other business. We can start with, why don't we start with,
Let's make a motion.
oh, I'm sorry.
Is that what you were going to say?
Yes.
Pool table.
Okay, yes. So I'll entertain a motion for the Fraternal Order of Eagles pool tables.
And yes, I'll make a motion to approve the Fraternal Order of Eagles pool tables.
Second.
Okay, first from Elijah, the second from Ethan.
That one threw you for a loop, didn't it?
Loop-de-loop, yep. All right. Any discussion? Yes. All right. All those in favor?
I just had one quick question for Brian on the ATV pass-through grant. SCDC is acting as a fiscal sponsor. If awarded the grant, it passes through to stump jumpers. What liability does the town have?
So
Or-
the town is the pass-through, not SCDC.
Oh, okay,
It's just being managed by my office.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
The town is not encumbered.
the town
by any
encumbered by
means.
any liabilities
No.
with ATV trails that are built with this money?
No. They're owned by the ATV club, so
So when and if we get the monies, is an MOU appropriate with,
we have that already, and that's part of your packet.
okay,
Yep,
great, thank
yep,
you.
yeah.
Thank you, Amber. The next item up for discussion is discussion of the town electric car charger to be under an ownership model. Funding through downtown TIF capital reserve funds, development of a formal agreement with the Chamber of Commerce, and other details. I'll entertain a motion.
I move we discuss. There is no decision tonight on this. It's just a discussion, right?
Yeah, I'm curious what you learned, Brian, or what's the deal?
First, if you don't mind, I'd like
First
to,
from Amber, I need a second.
okay,
Second from
sorry, guys.
Elijah. Okay,
First, I just want to clarify something from the public hearing this evening. Gail is correct. We did not need a vote one way or the other. So I don't know where, I got that conflated with planning board procedure, and I made a mistake. So I just want to make sure that you folks and the public know moving forward that that's not a procedure that you're going to see again. I think just because of all the moving parts, I just wanted to make sure that we had full support of the board going to town meeting so that that one hot button ordinance, the taxpayers knew that the board is the one that pushed that one through, and that, you know, it eases the tension, and then the public knows that that's where it came from. So that's where I was coming from, but procedurally, it's not required. So moving on to the chargers. You all got all the data from the existing chargers. I've kind of abandoned looking at the data for that, going with ChargePoint, just because I feel like the town needs to go to an owned infrastructure, no third-party services or vendors. So I'm proposing that we go with a Unify EV Pro charger, 2 of them. It's gonna be on one pedestal, just like we've got. And then all the equipment that comes with it to manage that charging station. So the town currently has the infrastructure in place through our Dream Machine. That's what it's called. It's a Dream Machine. It manages all of our IT throughout the whole town. The platform has so many other uses that I would like to explore further, but this is one use where I think it makes sense. So for $5,200 roughly, we can have the chargers replaced, the old ones removed, chargers replaced, all the equipment in place to manage it, so that we still have control over pricing if we need to adjust it. And we can manage the messaging on the actual 10-inch screens on the chargers. So if we have a town event we want to put out there, we can utilize that. But it does require an agreement with the Chamber of Commerce. Just for some context, when the town had a franchise agreement with Beeline Cable, they were provided with free internet. When Spectrum bought out Beeline, they followed the letter of the contract and said, we're not providing them with free service. So Beeline treated the town very well for a long time. So they're paying for their own internet service. I approached Megan a couple weeks ago, Megan Dunlap, she's the director, and proposed that if they allowed us to use their building and use their internet, we would install our Ubiquity or Unify Ubiquity equipment, and we would manage that as well as the entire network for that building. So if they give us access to their internet, we'll provide free network service, not for their devices, just for the equipment there. So this would allow us, if they do agree to a memorandum of understanding with the town, we would be able to set up in their building, which would give us access to the chargers that would communicate downtown. It also gives us an opportunity to provide a free hotspot, Wi-Fi hotspot for those who are utilizing the chargers downtown to work remotely if they needed to while they're charging. And it provides us an opportunity to install cameras downtown, which we definitely need in the parking lot. That way, we can actually catch the vandals in the act the next time around. These chargers will also have cameras built into them as well. So we would be utilizing downtown TIF funds for this. And then we would then, at town meeting next year, create a new reserve account for any revenues generated from the use of these chargers would pay for replacement in 10 years' time. When that's the life cycle of these units is roughly 10 years. So it would pay for the utilities and the replacement of the units without coming back to the town for any more money moving forward.
Who would maintain them?
What's that?
Who maintains them?
We maintain them. But the users are gonna pay for that.
Do you believe this is a break-even model, at least?
Yeah, absolutely. And then some, because like I said, it's gonna cover replacement costs. We'll have to escalate that annually depending on what inflation looks like. But we can set that rate to whatever we want, whenever we want.
What type of chargers are they, like, in terms of like speed?
Same as what we've got, because we'd have to completely change our infrastructure
To get more kilowatts?
to get more, yeah.
So it's a slow.
It's a slow charger, yeah.
I mean, it seems like a great idea. It's related to the downtown. It's an infrastructure that, although isn't used as much right now, in the future, I can see a lot more electric cars. We're accommodating people who have them. And if we can put together a system with the help of the chamber, who's done a lot for this town, if we can do that, I think it's a win for everybody.
Just a notable, I think that 5,000, 5,200, that included, that was insurance too?
Yeah, that's all in, because currently we don't have insurance. I called the town's insurance company and said it's only $70 a year. We should have insurance on the other ones for $70 a year. I mean, hindsight's always 20/20, but we'll be putting insurance on these ones for sure.
Does it cover vandalism and?
Yes, yep.
Garrett?
I know this is on the next agenda for the chamber, so we're gonna be discussing coming to some kind of an agreement on this. When we tabled it at our last meeting, one of the questions that did come up, is this charger metered separately from the chamber?
Yes.
Okay.
So our power actually comes from the circuit that serves the downtown lights, not actually from your building.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was one of the questions that came
Yep.
up, but, I just wanted to, I think we're gonna have a good resolution on this.
Perfect.
Yes, Corey?
Not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but I am in the parking lot all day long, and if somebody is there maybe once a week charging a car, it's a miracle during the day. I don't, if the charger isn't upgraded to me over what's there now, you're wasting your money, because the guy's not gonna go and sit there for an hour or however long it takes if he can drive to Hannaford and get it done in 15 minutes. My personal opinion is, if you're gonna do it, is probably should look into see what it's gonna charge to upgrade it, if that's what you were going to do. Like, nobody ever there. Now, somebody might park a car there and charge it and go to work for an hour and come back and then take it off, but otherwise than that, there is nobody there.
I've never used it because
That's-
of that reason.
Right, and I mean, it's just, like,
Yeah, I mean, this is all based on the last 5 years. We have 5 years of good data to base this on. So I'm pretty confident that the 38 cents a kilowatt hours is going to pay for the unit based on the last 5 years of usage. I think the usage has dropped significantly because the
Because it
unit's
doesn't work-
damaged.
hasn't worked in the last.
It's just, yeah, it's just,
I have used it, it has been completely busted.
yeah.
Vandalism did not take it out completely for a while, and
Yeah.
eventually did. What were you charging before on the prior charge?
I don't remember what that figure was.
Okay.
I think it was at 40 or 50 cents. But that was because we had a $13,000 contract we had to pay.
How does 35 cents a kilowatt hour compare to the high-speed chargers up at Hannaford and what?
It's a little bit higher. I could definitely say that. It's 38 cents a kilowatt hour is what I'm proposing here. But, but they're not apples to apples. Those chargers they're faster chargers, which you would think would charge, they would charge less, so.
So I'd like to see that comparison when we get ready to make a decision, which we're not making tonight, right? Which is if I sit on the Hannaford charger for 20 minutes and I'm back up to 85% after an empty battery. If I would have to park on this one and let it sit all day, am I actually paying more for that to sit it all day and get it? That would make no sense. So if this is an arbitrary number, this 35 cents a kilowatt hour, I'd like to see that we've thought that through from the perspective of a driver of an EV vehicle.
I just looked at it purely for the fact that what I heard from prior conversation was it needs to break even. So that's what I've tried to do here.
And I guess,
Yes.
Freeport is 42 cents a kilowatt hour. So it's going,
for the slowest,
it's not the slowest, but
Is it the Rivian?
it's a Tesla charger,
Okay.
but there are 5 levels of Tesla chargers, and I think Freeport is probably in the middle.
The Rivian is really fast, and
Their Rivian's new.
yeah, I love it. It's so quick. I can go in and look at the expensive pair of jeans in LL Bean and change my mind and walk back out and it's done. So, but I would use those for convenience. Not everyone is like me. I know there's not a ton of electric vehicle owners in this town, but I do agree with your statement that there will be more in the future. And I think, you know, we've seen what the price of gas, what can happen to the price of gas quickly. So, but I would love to see more information around what it would take to change the infrastructure as well. And I don't, you know, I'm not sure what that entails, but
Tearing up the parking lot,
Yeah.
redoing concrete pads, upgrading our service, thousands of dollars.
yeah.
you mentioned something about security cameras. You're saying it has a built-in screen that
These-
is taking a picture of you while you are charging the vehicle.
Yeah, and on the backside, we're installing a camera as well, so that we've got 360-degree coverage, and we also want to put a camera on the Chambers building.
Okay. And who sells these Unify charging? Who's benefiting?
IT for me, our IT contractor is the one that's providing this.
He sells these?
He buys them, yeah, he works with He works with Unify.
Okay.
So I guess I just need some direction for the next meeting, because I thought we were getting,
Well, I think Eli brings up a good point, and because I'm not an EV user, but there's a big difference between slow and fast. So maybe we have a good blueprint of the slow chargers paying for themselves, and we can do that relatively quickly with the infrastructure we have. So I like to think in short term and long term. So the short term is we get these slow chargers in and we provide this service and we do it right from the beginning with cameras and insurance. And then the long term, because we'll potentially pulling revenue from these, we could potentially increase that revenue margin and shoot for a long-term, more substantial infrastructure improvement of a fast charger. And that could be like a 5-year plan where this is a 1-year plan. And we could potentially use those funds or additional funds to get over the hump of that infrastructure. And maybe that spot isn't the perfect spot. Maybe there's another spot in the downtown or on our property where a fast charger could be cheaper and more appropriate. And then
right. I guess what I'm asking is, are we going with the model that it pays for itself, or do we not care about that? Because I'm not gonna go in 2 different directions and make this a, you know what I'm saying? Are we gonna try to, is this the model we're going after, or do we not care about that? And then we're just gonna,
The question I have, and I don't have an electric car.
pricing's gonna reflect what we're paying to put this stuff in, so.
If the charging station does not meet the needs of an electric car owner because it's not strong enough, then maybe it's not worth putting in. I'm not sure. I didn't realize.
I'm just suggesting it comes down to price. So if you're inflating the price per kilowatt hour just to make the numbers work from it has to break even standpoint, that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to know what we were paying per kilowatt hour. I took the pictures of the data you gave us back when we voted this down previously. It doesn't have a kilowatt hour price on it. It just has the sum totals. And we were benefiting from energy efficiency rebates back then too, and I don't know if we still would.
No.
So let's just apples and oranges, right? Like, let's know what Hanford is right now per kilowatt hour. Let's know what we were charging. Let's know where this 35 cents an hour comes from and whether it makes sense before we make a decision.
And like what the machine will do, will push out.
I may need some assistance from any of you that have vehicles, because when I go on the app, it might not be, I'm gonna have to download an app to see what the prices are, type of thing. So, yeah,
From Waterville.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So whatever data you can provide me, I'll use
The
it.
rate
so.
of acquisition matters too, like, so some of them will push out like, I don't know, 174 kilowatts or something like that, where these might only push out like 14 or something like that.
Yeah, they're all useful, I guess is the point I would make. All, the slow ones, the fast ones, they're all useful, but you're gonna use them in different ways. So fast is fast, slow is when you're at work, slow is when you're gonna be hanging out in the downtown for a long time, you're going out to a restaurant. It's a bonus to find a slow charger where you didn't expect to charge and you plan on spending a few hours anyway. So that's restaurant, that's, I'm at the charter school, I'm walking around, whatever. So they're all useful.
I'll build out something and come see you with it. I'll try to look at those too and get that information to you.
Janet?
Right. I have a question. So, didn't you say that this will also give us cameras downtown? What would the price be to just get cameras downtown if we didn't go with this that might possibly pay for that? So, we're gonna spend some money anyway on getting that aspect of it, right?
I mean, yeah, I think we need cameras we need cameras there regardless.
Right, so
I mean, a camera,
that cost versus-
a good camera is gonna be $600,
Yeah.
but we still need some of this equipment, to put that camera in, so.
So it could like, where's one stone?
What would you all see the process being? So the TIF committee and a prior select board approved a multi-year contract for the prior charger. It was voted down by this board. And you're suggesting that the TIF would pay for this? Are you foreseeing going back to the TIF Advisory Committee for an update in education and a request for recommendation?
I mean, my opinion is that this is the kind of thing that TIF money should be used for. It's infrastructure, and it helps many. And it improves the downtown.
I agree with you, and we have a process in place that, I was just curious if, I'm hoping we're not averting the.
No, that's,
right
it's actually,
process.
it should be in there right up here at some point, somewhere. If not in this, it was definitely in the package that I provided. But that's the plan, is to go to the advisory committee and go through the process.
Okay.
May not be with a formal application, but it'll be a request.
And the big thing is ownership versus lease, really.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We need to get away from that.
And I lean towards ownership, because I feel like you get locked into these leases and then you got no more control, you know? So, even though it's more upfront, right, for ownership.
Yeah, and these are not in stock right now either, so who knows when they will be in stock. So it's a good time to vet out what faster charges would cost and see what that looks like. And if, I'll give a comparison of break it even or trying to match at least other local pricing to see what that looks like.
Are there other bidders we should be considering?
Not for this, just because it ties into our existing infrastructure that we already pay for and already have someone managing. This makes the most sense.
All right, any further discussion? I don't believe we need a motion here, we can just move on. It was a good discussion. We're gonna move on to unfinished business.
Thank you, Brian.
Anything anybody would like to speak about in regards to unfinished business? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
First from Ethan, second from Amber.